Part 74. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 758. Please remember the website address of this website. Please recommend promotion introduction to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. Chapter 730. After sitting for a while, Fang Jing's cousins saw that Chu Xia was easy to get along with, and they would interject from time to time. They are not much different in age. After the initial restraint was removed, everyone quickly became familiar with each other. It was not until Lin Wenjie came over to call for dinner that the group of people stood up without feeling satisfied. After leaving the house, Chu Xia glanced at the place where the Lin brothers and Zhou Mikang gathered, and found that Lin Wengxiu had returned, but Xiao Min was not there. He knew that Lin Wengxiu must not act like a big man. Men of this era, Chu Xia couldn't help but sigh secretly. Or do you really have to wait until you lose it before you regret it? Or do you really have to wait many years later to understand what true love is before you regret it? But by then, it was already too late. Thinking of this, Chu Xia secretly laughed at herself. A novice in relationships would actually express such emotion. If her former classmates and friends heard this, they would definitely laugh out loud. However, if they knew how people of this era treat relationships, they probably wouldn't laugh at her, right? It's a very simple thing. In her era, it was very normal for boys to carry bags for girls. But in this era, if a boy carries a bag for a girl, he will definitely become the object of ridicule by many people. If Zhou Mikang hadn't had his status and personality, and if everyone hadn't been accustomed to his character, I'm afraid he would have become the object of ridicule by everyone now. Therefore, every time I think about this, Chu Xia feels that she is quite lucky. She does not need her education and has met a man who treats her sincerely and will not ignore her for the sake of face. Naturally, we had a very happy meal. During the meal, the elders of both parties spoke and gave their most sincere blessings to the two generations. The wedding date of Lin Wenjie and Fang Jingzi has also been officially determined. It is the 26th of February on the lunar calendar, which is still 37 days away. In fact, the elders of both parties have been angry about this for a long time. Today, according to custom, the man officially presents the daily gift to the woman, so, coupled with the previous preparations, the time is quite sufficient. Weddings in this era are not like those in later generations. You have to really do it. Someone will definitely come to talk to him soon. Of course, the Lin family is a big family, so no one will come to talk, but gossip is definitely inevitable. Although the marriage between Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang was not grand, in this era, it was already considered top-notch, and no one else was gossiping about it. It was just because Zhou Mikang's marriage had been delayed for too long, and Zhou Mikang's personality was so bad. Naturally, no one dared to hit it. After the meal, Ms. Fang was immediately sent back to her room to rest. Although she insisted that she was not tired, her face showed that she had been holding on. If she hadn't been so stubborn, everyone would have really wanted to send her back to the hospital right now. Chu Xia took some time to quietly ask Zhou Mikang, "What's wrong with Lin Wengxiu coming back?" When Lin Wengxiu came back, the Lin brothers must have asked her about this matter, and they didn't want to have to repeat it again, which would naturally trouble Commander Zhou. Xiao Min doesn't forgive him and insists on separation. Zhou Mikang raised his eyebrows. "You don't have to persuade him. With the way he is now, the girl will suffer if she follows him. I'm not trying to persuade him." Chu Xia curled her lips. "I tried to persuade them earlier with the idea that I would rather demolish a temple than break up a marriage, but now he behaves like this. What else should I advise? I was really unhappy when I was married to him, so why should I blame me? Moreover, he couldn't figure it out. No matter how good Xiao Min was to him, he couldn't feel it, so naturally he didn't feel happy either. I won't do such a thankless thing." Let nature take its course, we have done our due diligence, and no matter what happens in the future, it has nothing to do with us. You really think so? Joe Mikang said with a smile in his eyebrows. Just now I was worried that you were going to intervene again. Come on, let me look at you. You understand? TCH, Chusia rolled her eyes at him. You are the one who is confused. When did I not understand? Joe Mikang, are you feeling uncomfortable if you don't look at me for a while? Joe Mikang chuckled. Pay attention to your image. What do you mean? Chusia glanced at him sideways. If I don't pay attention to my image and lose your people, you will be like Lin Wengxiu and give me an ultimatum. Thinking too much, Joe Mikang lowered his voice. Someone is secretly watching you. I just remind you not to lose the image of a lady you have established in front of them. Who is staring at me? Chusia also lowered her voice. Tell me, after a while I pretend to walk over, who is that person, or, I want to make sure, is he peeking at me or you? Your left rear. Joe Mikang quickly turned her head and smiled at the boy who was staring at Chusia in a daze. Do you have a problem with us? Come here. No. No. It's okay. The boy who was caught turned red and looked at a loss. Chusia had already turned around, took a look at the other person's appearance, and glared at Joe Mikang. You jealous man, he is 1 year older than me, and he is the son of the third sister-in-law's family. Don't frighten this filial son again, I don't dare to come. You still find fault with me for showing such magnanimity? Joe Mikang shook his head. His wife was stunned. Not only did I not scold him, I also asked him if he could help me, and even asked him to come and sit down. Chusia interrupted him contemptuously. You can pull him down. It's because he was angry with me that you deliberately prevented him from getting off the stage. You look so angry. Joe Mikang snorted coldly. You are my wife and you are already married to me. As long as anyone is interested in you, no matter how old they are, I will kill them all. This is the safest way, do you understand? Understood. Chusia nodded, with a speechless expression. I despise you. I won't talk to you anymore. I'm going to find Fang Jing'ai. She will introduce a classmate to me this afternoon. What classmate? Joe Mikang frowned and grabbed her. You are about to enter school, and you are only a day or two away. Don't forget that you are pregnant now. Why are you running around? You can't suffocate me to death even though I'm pregnant, right? Chusia frowned dissatisfied. Joe Mikang, don't you believe me? Does it mean that I can't associate with any men except you in the future? No, Joe Mikang coughed unnaturally. You are too old and your ability to distinguish human nature is not good enough. In a few years, you will have experienced a lot, so I naturally have nothing to worry about. Chusia looked at him amusedly. I understand what you mean. Are you afraid that I won't have enough concentration and will run away with someone else? You can't do that kind of thing. I don't want you to meet someone with bad character and it will affect your mood. Joe Mikang smiled at her and said, how about I go with you? Chusia nodded indifferently. Sure, as long as you don't think it's awkward for a grown man to be with a group of girls. I'll make an appointment at the tea room. I'll be at the other table while you talk. I'll just escort you. Then what's your character like? I understand, no need. What if I see a girl? Same, both. Okay. Chusia was really defeated by the group leader Tongzi, but then she thought that it would be better for the group leader Tongzi to follow, otherwise it would be difficult for them to enter the state-owned tea house. Nayakata Shizuru, you don't need to go to any tea house, it's better to meet at her home. It was only in early summer that you realized, yes, she is really thinking. In this era, how can we pay so much attention to meeting each other? If she really went to the tea room, wouldn't the girl who would become her classmate misunderstand that she was showing off? The bastard captain, he was hurting her again. When she turned around to talk to Joe Mikang, the other person looked at her speechlessly. Lin Wenjia and Fang Jingzi just got engaged, and our whole family rushed over in a big way, and even asked the girl from the neighbor's house to talk to her. Are you sincerely making your neighbor think too much? That's right. Chu Xia scratched her head and felt that Zhou Mikang was right. At the same time, she also secretly despised herself. Why was her brain so short-circuited? She still wanted someone to think about it. Could it be that she was pregnant? Becoming stupid? Thinking this way, Xia Xia was a little scared. She was going to college soon. If she was really pregnant for 3 years, would her life be taken away? Her self-improvement should not be ruined. Zhou Mikang, do you think I've become stupid recently? Chu Xia stared at Zhou Mikang's face and asked seriously. No, team leader Tongzi comforted her, this is the result of the collision of eras. These things were normal in your era, but in today's era, they are somewhat thoughtless. Comrade, you still need to adapt slowly, so if you encounter anything in the future and you don't understand, ask me more. After all, I grew up in this era and have seen and heard more than you, so naturally I also think more than you. Okay, Chu Xia looked at Zhou Mikang with a depressed look, so, I won't have to report everything to you in the future? I will almost lose my personal freedom. This can be considered communication between husband and wife. Otherwise, you have to talk to me, right? After frowning and thinking for a while, he felt that what the group leader said made sense. Chu Xia nodded, okay, if I don't understand, I'll try to ask you before I make a decision. Then I don't need to meet you today. It's better to wait until after enrollment. You can let Fang Jing'ai go to school, that's the same thing. Zhou Mikang nodded, yes, let them go back and talk to the girl. In this way, when you report to the school, you can't find her when you check the roster. So, Chu Xia went to Fang Jingzi's sisters again and told them her decision. Fang Jingzi repeatedly said that it was her mistake, while Fang Jing'ai was a little disappointed. However, after thinking about it, she also felt that her previous the proposal was somewhat ill-advised. And the group leader, Tongzi, who was sitting there alone, had a smile on his face. Guy, fight with me, ha ha ha. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 759. Remember to this website, please recommend promotion introduction to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. Today, you will be less and make up for it tomorrow. Chu Xia, who had been tricked by the group leader, didn't think about it until she was lying in bed at night. Then she glared at him bitterly and turned away. What's wrong? Zhou Mikang gently patted his wife's exposed shoulder. Okay, why are you suddenly angry? What's wrong? Or did I do something wrong? Chu Xia didn't look back, but snorted coldly, pretend again. Zhou Mikang picked her up in his arms and hugged her, smiling softly, what am I pretending to do? Let me tell you. You obviously don't want me to go out, but you still come up with so many excuses. Chu Xia curled her lips dissatisfied, hypocrisy. I really don't want you to go out. Zhou Mikang turned her head and forced his wife to look directly at him, you are still in a dangerous period now, so you must be cautious. Zhang Qi and Ma Chao have returned to the army. If no one follows you girls, what should you do if you encounter danger? But it was a bit inconvenient for me to go with him. If we take Wenjia and Wengzia with us, it's not enough to just go to Fang, but we also need to find the girl next door to the Fang family. If we let people think too much, it will be bad, right? Chu Xia interrupted him, I'm just going to meet a classmate. Are you so serious about going online? I don't believe anyone dares to rob us in broad daylight. You can just ask the driver to send us there. It's just a bluff. It's annoying to do so much to me. Do you really want to meet your classmates in advance? It's not. After a pause, Chusia still looked unhappy. I just don't like you scaring me. In fact, I just wanted to go over and meet you. If you tell the truth, you are worried about my safety. I may argue with you for a few words, but if I think about it, I won't insist on it anymore. What a coincidence, you came up with so many reasons, which made me talk to my third sister-in-law for a long time. She admitted her mistake at that time. Now that I think back to the look in my third sister-in-law's eyes at that time, I know that she was trying to get me down. Fortunately, I foolishly took it seriously at the time and kept fretting over it. I guess my third sister-in-law will definitely laugh her head off after she goes back. He might even think of me as a half-idiot. Okay, I will tell you the truth from now on. In fact, the most fundamental reason why I don't want you to go today is that I don't want to be separated from you. When you enter school, we won't be able to see each other every day. You will be entering school in 5 days. In other words, after 5 days, I will not be able to see you until every other week. In case of a mission, it may be a few months. Chusia. Joe Mikang put his hand on Chusia's still flat belly. I hope to spend more time with you and the two little guys, so that they can feel my presence more. What if I go on a mission and don't see them for a few months? What will I do if they don't recognize me after I'm born? You don't want them to be less close to me in the future, do you? Oh, the grown man is getting sad. Chusia had a funny look on her face. Didn't we communicate before? According to the historical trajectory, there won't be any problems within a year and a half. What are you so worried about? If. Joe Mikang looked at Chusia seriously, I mean if. He paused again. He then continued, if I become glorious, have you ever thought about what you would do? No. Chusia shook her head. However, if you are really glorious, I will only despise you. You know you have a wife and children at home, but you still don't save your life. You are an irresponsible man. I don't say what if, it means that there are force majeure factors. Even if I try hard, even if I persist, I can't change the result. As you know, if I really go to the battlefield, I can't ignore my comrades and let myself survive. TCH, Chusia glanced at him with contempt. Excuse, fighting is not just about brute force, you can't use your brain? Under the premise that I tell you so many future situations, if you still can't protect yourself, then I really look down on you. Silly girl. Joe Mikang caressed her cheek and said with a smile, I was just teasing you. Do you think I would really joke with my own life? I think I, Joe Mikang, was also born in a hail of bullets. Now, with a wife and children, how could it be possible that he really fell into the trap? I just want to give you a vaccination in advance to prepare you mentally. Things in the world are unpredictable, and it is always good to be more prepared, right? Don't you think what you said is so contradictory? Chusia looked at him speechlessly. One moment you said it's definitely fine, and the next moment you said get vaccinated. Okay, I understand what you mean. However, I believe you won't say such things for no reason. Tell me what happened. Don't be afraid to tell me just because I am a pregnant woman. You have a very sensitive sense of smell. Joe Mikang's eyes were full of appreciation. To be honest, it's a pity to keep you at home as a housewife. My uncle is going to be transferred to the army to take over the position of Deputy Commander Lu, who has just retired. The organization decided to let me shoulder the burden. Since the burden is heavy, there are naturally more factors to consider. Then do I want to congratulate you on your promotion. Chusia got up and looked Joe Mikang up and down. Aren't you excited to be promoted to division commander at such a young age? I was a little excited when I first heard it. When did you get the news? Today, at noon, my uncle called me and said a few words, asking me to meet him tomorrow to hand over the work. He said that my letter of appointment has been delivered, and I will officially take office within a few days. It's a matter of God. I'm the teacher's wife now, Chu Xia chuckled, can I go sideways when I go to the teacher from now on? If you feel comfortable walking sideways, then walk sideways, I have no objection. Chu Xia sighed, if you put it this way, I will understand. Division A will definitely go to the battlefield, and it may even be in the front, right? Yes, Zhou Mikang nodded, being born in this era, this is my mission, so you should understand my feelings. Originally, I didn't want to say it now. However, I also feel that concealing something is actually not a good thing. If you know it earlier, you can do psychological construction earlier. If something happens, you and your children will not be unable to accept it. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Chu Xia patted him, I've been with you for 8 lifetimes, so there's no need to start worrying now. Don't worry, my words are very effective. If you say you're fine, you'll be fine for sure. Go to sleep. Although she said this, the slight movement of her shoulders after she lay down made Zhou Mikang understand that his wife was far from being as relaxed as she showed. He also regretted his hasty decision, but Lin Wenbin was right. Telling him in advance was a form of respect, and it also gave her a stronger ability to bear it. To be continued. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 760. Please remember the website address of this site. Please recommend promotional introductions to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. Will be updated soon. Remember, in 1 second popular novels are updated the fastest. Early the next morning, Zhou Mikang left the capital with his father-in-law, mother-in-law, and young wife. Originally, he wanted to visit Mr. Wang's family, but the situation was unexpected and he could only wait until next time. Lin Wenbin stayed. He said he would take care of some things and come back in 2 days. Chu Xia gave him a look of contempt at that time. He said it nicely, but he was clearly just escaping. However, Lin Wenbin is already an adult. Even if she is calculated based on her actual age, she is still older than Lin Wenbin. So, there is no need for her to worry and get involved. Emotional matters, no matter how clear they are to outsiders, are of no use unless the person involved can straighten them out. I left early in the morning, and it was only 10 o'clock in the morning when I arrived at Zhou's house. Su Zhenghong was also at Zhou's house. After everyone had finished greetings, he stepped forward and punched Zhou Mixang in the chest. Boy, I'm going to look at this, my uncle will be led by you soon. Boss, aren't you being trivial? Zhou Yueping answered first, you don't even think about what you and Xiaomi were doing when they were so old. Are there any comparisons? The juniors are all here, can't you save some face for me? Su Zhenghong looked at his wife helplessly, even if you say it more implicitly, that's fine. Ha ha ha. Zhou Yueping burst into laughter, can we stop fooling ourselves? Do you think being more reserved will give you face? If you are not as good as Xiaomi, you are not as good as Xiaomi. No matter how reserved you are, it is the same. What a mouthful you are. Su Zhenghong shook his head and pulled Zhou Mikang out. The leaders arrived at about 11 o'clock. Originally, I was thinking that if you couldn't come back, I would entertain them myself. Now that you are back, then just come with me. Hide if you feel guilty. That's all you can do. Zhou Yueping looked down upon her husband with disdain. A monk can't hide in a temple if he can. I'll tell you when you come back. You, don't go too far. Seeing her son-in-law go out without looking back, Mrs. Zhou looked at her daughter helplessly. The juniors are all here, at least let him save some face. Let's talk about it when you two are alone together. How many times have I told you about your problem? Why can't it be changed? As he spoke, he looked at Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe. You've been in the car all the way, are you tired? No need to stay with us here, go back and take a rest. Without waiting for the two to answer, they looked at Chu Xia, who was squeezed between Zhou Xiangping and Zhou Jiping. Xia, don't sit here anymore, go to bed and let Xiaojing call you during lunch. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe looked at each other. Their eyes were full of joy. They were sincerely grateful that their daughter could be so pampered by her husband's family. Just now, the couple was still thinking about how to ask their daughter to go back to her room to rest. Grandma, she thinks we don't have a good look. Zhou Xiangping let go of Chu Xia with a smile. Third sister-in-law, please go back to your room and rest. I haven't seen third sister-in-law for 2 days, and my sister and I are particularly thinking about third sister-in-law. We forgot about it. Zhou Jiping, however, didn't want to take the blame with her. Don't involve me. I kept telling Chu Xia to go back to her room to rest. It was you who insisted on asking questions. Don't you want third sister-in-law? Yes, I do. Then it's over. Those are two different things. Seeing the two sisters bickering and having fun, Chu Xia shook her head in amusement. She got up and walked upstairs. She was indeed tired, so she didn't want to stay here and suffer like everyone else. When I walked to the stairs, I met Zhao Yushui and Lin Xiahua opening the door and saying, "Second uncle, second aunt, we are back." Chu Xia greeted them with a smile. Zhao Yushui and Lin Xiahua had unabashed surprise in their eyes. They didn't expect Chuxia's family to come back so soon. Without them, they had no worries in their hearts. Now it's great, the backbone is back. Is Sister Qian okay? Chu Xia asked. Lin Xiahua hurriedly said, it's still the same. Lu Zhenqiang has been here again in the past 2 days. I saw that she was a little loose, but I stopped her from saying anything and said that I would wait until you come back. Okay, I'll talk to Sister Qian later. Chu Xia nodded her chin at the bottom of the stairs. Second uncle and second aunt, my father and my mother are downstairs. I'm a little tired, so I'm going to take a rest. Lin Xiahua looked embarrassed. Okay, Xia, go and have a rest. Your second uncle and I will chat with your parents for a while. You are a woman, and you don't think much about your children. After Chu Xia left, Zhao Yushui couldn't help but blame Lin Xiahua. I keep pulling you, but you haven't finished talking. I was so happy to see Xia and the others back, I didn't think much about it. Standing at the door, listening to the two people whispering, Chu Xia's eyebrows were filled with happy smiles. This kind of change in her relatives was what she liked best. Although she didn't have much affection for them, this could make her father happy. If my mother is happy, then everything she does will be worth it. Half an hour after Zhou Mikang and Su Zhenghong arrived at the station, their superiors were waiting for them. Dad, what are you? Looking at his father, who was the first to get out of the car, Zhou Mikang looked confused. He was his own son, so he should avoid suspicion at least, right? Look at you, do you dislike me? Zhou Jingping looked at him with a smile. After the other two soldiers came down, he smiled and said, I said I won't come, but you have to let me come. Look, isn't this shameful? Ha ha. One of the soldiers laughed loudly. What a big deal. I started to feel wronged. Comrade Xiao Zhou said this, which shows that Comrade Xiao Zhou is a comrade with very high consciousness. Old Comrade Zhou, you should be happy, that's it. Another soldier also laughed. You're right. If you have such a mentality, Comrade Lao Zhou, you will be doomed. In less than 20 years, Xiao Zhou will definitely throw you away. What will you do then? Okay, my task of accompanying the singer has been completed. You go ahead and get busy. I have to go home first. Zhou Jingping waved to the two of them and patted his son on the shoulder again. You want me to serve you, but you are not enough. Ge, work hard. Joe Mikang. What are you doing standing still? Give me the car keys. Zhou Jingping glared at his son dissatisfied. Do you want me to walk back on two legs? Where's your car? Zhou Mikang asked. It's not open. It's not like you didn't see it. What Zhou Mikang wanted to ask was, why didn't you let the driver take you back? Since the old man deliberately refused to cooperate, he stopped asking and quickly took out the car key and handed it to the other person. Do you remember the license plate number? Just those few cars there. Zhou Jingping shook his head speechlessly. Do you really think I'm old? Uncle Wei, Uncle Qin, what's wrong with my dad? Seeing his father walking away, Zhou Mikan looked at the two middle-aged soldiers boredly. It's like he's been fed gunpowder. Who messed with him? Su Zhenghong also had a curious look on his face. Although his brother-in-law was not a good-tempered person, he was not that bad-tempered, especially when facing Zhou Mixang. The situation today was too wrong. I'm in a bad mood after I'm separated from my old friend. Wei Suejun shook his head in amusement. If you insist on stabbing him in the heart, how can he not get angry? Is that why I don't like my brother-in-law? Su Zhenghong frowned. I think my relationship with my brother-in-law has been okay these years. It seems that I am just being sentimental. It's not your fault. Qin Baonian sighed. Old Zhou has been promoted, so he should be happy, but he has never seen a real smile on his face since he heard the news. No wonder he didn't bring the driver back. Zhou Mixang nodded suddenly. Since the other party said it was Gao Sheng, he knew without asking that his father had entered the central center and had been hooking up with Uncle Xia for more than 10 years. If you are separated, you will inevitably feel unhappy. In real terms, the person who has spent the longest time with my father in these years is Uncle Xia. For this reason, my mother joked that she would be sad for a month at most if she left her father. If Uncle Xia left, my father would definitely be sad. I can be sad for a year. So that's it? Su Zhenghong scratched his head in embarrassment. Let me just say, my brother-in-law shouldn't dislike me so much. Hey, I originally thought I could work with my brother-in-law, but I didn't expect that we are so incompatible. Zhou Mikang. Uncle, are you sure what you said has gone through your brain? Qin Baonian and Wei Suejun also stared at Su Zhenghong with speechless expressions. A big man, or a big man in his 40s, said such words. Unconsciously, they got goosebumps. Ha ha. After laughing twice, Su Zhenghong quickly called the two leaders into the office. Minister Qin, Director Wei, please. You just thought of inviting us in now. Qin Baonian glared at him. Didn't you see that I was almost frozen into a popsicle? Ha, ha ha. Someone continued to laugh. Zhou Mikang had a dark head. His uncle really opened his eyes today. Could it be that he was excited because of the promotion? He shouldn't be excited at such an old age. If Su Zhenghong knew that he thought this way, he would definitely spit out a mouthful of blood. Is he such a fan of officials? He is reluctant to leave here, okay. After entering the office to chat for a few words, Qin Baonian looked at Su Zhenghong. Let's have a meeting. Yes, Su Zhenghong responded and quickly notified all regiment-level cadres one by one to go to the large conference room. Qin Baonian read out the appointment letter, and Zhou Mikang officially took office. The several regiment-level cadres of Division A were very different from him, so naturally there was nothing they were dissatisfied with. The entire meeting only took a quarter of an hour, with absolute military speed. After returning to the office again, Su Zhenghong looked at Zhou Mikang. Now you are the commander of Division A, so the task of entertaining the chief is left to you, and I will also take advantage of it. Uncle, you haven't formally handed over to me yet. Zhou Mikang changed his tone. However, I am the youngest and the most junior, so I should be the one to entertain you. Minister Qin and Director Wei, would you like to eat something? What? Xiaozhou, you are so treacherous. Qin Baonian smiled and nodded at Zhou Mixang a few times. Let's go, Let's deal with it in the cafeteria, and then Lao Wei has something to do with you. To be continued. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 761. There are too many military makeup codes today. I feel like vomiting. Let's just get married first. If there are more codes tomorrow, get married first. I didn't expect that such a big change would happen in just 1 month. I remember the last time I came to class, the intern doctors from 401 looked at the members of the women's medical team with envy in their eyes. In such a short period of time, they were completely reversed. Coming. Crazy reading of novels. Did something happen? Chu Xia asked, aren't they always envious of us? Lu Meijun sighed softly, after 2 tests, only Wu Jingbo, Lin Mengran, and Yang Xiaoli were in the top 20. Only students who pass the test can stay, and their tails are raised. Chu Xia suddenly nodded. These self-enrollments in 401 were originally temporary staff recruited to supplement domestic demand. Therefore, they would have an instinctive envy for the women's medical team members with military status. Now, everyone has equal opportunities. Mentality nature has changed. Otherwise, many turning points in a person's life require both hard work and luck. This is true for members of the medical team such as Chu Xia, and it is even more true for 401 self-enrollment. They are all special products of this era. The difference is that these self-recruited personnel were originally temporary staff members of 401, but last month they were suddenly converted into formal personnel with military status by a piece of approval. What I originally envied was the halo of the women's medical team, but now that I have it, my mentality has naturally changed. When Luo Xiaoxiang and Lu Meijun narrated, Chu Xia felt that someone was peeking at her and followed her gaze. I saw a girl with transparent skin lowering her head in panic. Noticing Chu Xia's movements, Luo Xiaoxiang also looked over. He said, she is Meijun's neighbor, her name is Hu Dai, and we, Meijun, have not dealt with her since she was a child. Xiaoxiang saved face for me. It's not that Hu Dai and I can't deal with each other, it's that she was born to be my nemesis. Whether it's studying or looks, she is better than me in every aspect. As soon as she sees her, my mother will definitely kill her. The nose I trained is not the nose and the face, not the face. I hated her when I was little. I look forward to her moving away every day, but now, I feel quite pitiful for her. Her father has fled to the other side of the strait, and it is not easy for her and her mother to depend on each other. Chu Xia suddenly realized, does that mean she was peeking at you just now? Meijun nodded and curled her lips. In the first few days, she still interacted with me, but now the two sides are at odds. She doesn't dare to talk to me anymore. She probably feels guilty in her heart, so she always she glances at me. I hate this kind of senselessness the most. Ignore her. Ah. Get up. Get up. It's over, it's over. Crushed. Chu Xia, Luo Xiaoxiang, Lu Meijun were startled by the sudden howling and turned around to look. I saw several girls hurriedly grabbing the flattened cage from the ground. The 2 white mice inside were crushed and sticky. What does this mean? Luo Xiaoxiang's eyes widened. Then he turned the heads of Chu Xia and Lu Meijun to his side and whispered. It's better now. The patient was murdered, so there's no need to compete. The 2 of them were silent. It's all your fault. Why push? This is good. Where can I find 2 sick mice? Who told you to occupy the place and not let me see it? You were holding the place just now and wouldn't let me see it? Who didn't let you see it? It's obvious that you took me away and grabbed all the territory yourself. The quarrel was between 2 girls, one fat and one thin. Luo Xiaoxian introduced to Chu Xia in a low voice, it's finally their turn to do it. The fat one is named Lu Xinghua and the thin one is named Zhang Junmei. They are both in a group. First and second. No one is convinced by the other. Seeing Professor Yuan wandering towards the classroom, the two people, noisy and lively, quickly rushed back to their seats. As soon as Professor Zhangzi entered the door, he saw a cage pressed into a board and two corpses turned into cakes. Ouch! He rushed to the podium with a cry, who did this? His stern eyes looked at everyone, and he fixed on the position of the second group, whoever did it, stand up for me. Otherwise, when I find out, you won't be able to stay here any longer. She did it, the fat girl and the thin girl both pointed at each other. Professor Yuan waved his hand, okay, sit down. The practical class will be held tomorrow. No matter who did it, you two are responsible for finding two white mice for me. Now let's continue with the content of the previous class. Speak. Luo Xiaoxian curled her lips and said in Chu Xia's ear, you see, this is treated differently. If someone from our side is forced to stand at the door for a class, then report it to the hospital leadership. Lu Meijun also came over, he is very good at studying, even a little unprincipled. Chu Xia, I think he will like you. Listen to the class. Chu Xia heard what the two said and somewhat understood the old professor's character. Over the years, he has been more martial than literary. The old professor has a paranoid liking for students who study well. This may be because he particularly hates women's medical care. The reason why he is a member of the team is probably that in his opinion, doctors are doctors and soldiers are soldiers. Why recruit a group of soldiers with no foundation to train them into doctors? After returning to the office after class, Chu Xia told Song Xiao everything she saw in class. Song Xiao sighed, Mr. Yuan suffered from rheumatism in both legs a few years ago, and it would hurt him terribly when he stood for a while. But this time when he started teaching, he had to speak on the podium in person no matter what he said. Dean Su didn't only then did he agree to it. Yuan Lao studied medicine in D when he was young. He is a man of real ability. Apart from being a bit stubborn, he has no other problems. If you study hard with him, you will gain a lot. Teacher, I can do it. Chu Xia quickly expressed her stance. At this moment, Wu Jingbo ran over hurriedly, Director Song, can I have a few words with Chu Xia alone? Song Yankai had a good impression of Wu Jingbo, so she waved her hand, go ahead. Chu Xia, do me a favor. Pulling Chu Xia to a secluded corner, Wu Jingbo said hurriedly, as a result, I accompanied the teacher to the operating table. Now, only you can help him with this matter. Please explain clearly what is going on. It turns out that I have a girlfriend named Li Xiru. The two have filed a marriage report and are about to get married. However, today, Li Xiru's mother was suddenly taken away. The crime was harboring and shielding. Xiao Binqi confessed her. Li Xiru just came to find the result. When he was not here, he told me. After thinking about it, I think it is most convenient to find you. Chu Xia thought for a while and agreed, okay, I'll ask. Wait a minute. Wu Jingbo held Chu Xia, I don't like to meddle in other people's business, and I know you don't either, but I've weighed this matter again and again, and I'm here to beg you. It was not easy for Li Xiru and Li Xiru to get together. Li Xiru was almost raped by that gangster Xiao Yuan earlier, and it was also to save Li Xiru. As a result, I hurriedly made a wedding report. I really don't want to see their marriage have another setback. However, if Li Xiru's mother deliberately helped Xiao Binqi, she deserves it. If she has unavoidable reasons, please ask Captain Zhou for mercy. Xiao responded and asked doubtfully, how do you know Zhou Mixang is responsible for this matter? When the Zhou family was in trouble, it was the Xiao family who did it. Now that the Zhou family has turned around, it is natural to deal with Xiao Binqi. Wu Jingbo said matter-of-factly. Okay, I'm confused. The truth is quite clear. Chu Xia thought for a while. It's not convenient to talk about this kind of thing on the phone. Zhou Mikang is not a bully. I'll go find him directly after get off work. By the way, I want to ask about this, and you should also tell Guo Guo and tell him not to worry. Jingbo breathed a sigh of relief. I was the one who made Li Xiru cry just now. Also, according to Captain Zhou's temper, he would never wrongfully accuse people indiscriminately like the Xiao family father and son. I was really impatient. You have a good relationship with senior brother Chen, Chu Xia joked with a smile. Well, I regard him as my brother now. Wu Jingbo poked at Chu Xia. I know what you are thinking, you can just say it in front of me, but never in front of senior brother Chen, he said. He has a tender face and won't be able to bear it. Besides, if Li Xiru misunderstands me, I won't be able to wash it off even if I jump into the Yellow River. Why are you explaining so much? Chu Xia glanced at the time. I'll go back and tell the teacher, and I'll go help you with things now. Thank you. Wu Jingbo bowed her hand to Chu Xia and quickly ran back to her office. Li Xiru was still waiting there eagerly. When he saw her coming in, he stood up hastily, with a look of hesitation on speaking. Wu Jingbo smiled at her. Don't worry, I have asked my friends to help. If your mother was wrongly accused, she will be fine. Thank you. Li Xiru's tears began to flow uncontrollably. My mother must have been wronged by Xiao Binqi. He was taking revenge on me for not listening to him and following Xiao Yuan's wishes. This must be the case. Okay, stop crying. Wu Jingbo looked at Li Xiru with a headache. Why do you cry so much? People say women are made of water. You really prove this statement. I'm sorry, I don't want to cry either. Li Xiru cried even harder. Wu Jingbo suddenly felt very pitiful. Finding such a wife would be fatal. In fact, what she didn't know was that Li Xiru was crying not only for her mother being taken away, but also for a more important reason. If things really came out, she and Guo Guo might not be able to be together anymore. I don't mind Gu Guo, but what about Gu Guo's parents? It was impossible for them not to mind this matter, but she, as her mother's daughter, couldn't help but watch her mother being forced to be killed, but for the sake of her own happiness, she didn't care. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 762. Please remember the website address. Please contact your QQ group. After dinner, Zhao Qian took Chu Xia to her room, closed the door, and said straight to the point, Xia, I want to move back to the Lu family tomorrow. My father and my mother will return to their hometown the day after tomorrow. Tomorrow, Chu Xia looked at her with some surprise. Second uncle and second aunt agreed. Yes, Zhao Qian nodded. My father and my mother still want me to stabilize quickly. Xia, to be honest, we have been very uncomfortable these 2 days when you and my sister-in-law and uncle are not here. Your mother-in-law's family is really kind to us, but the more this happens, the more we can't help but look at you. You are about to enter school, and it would be too shameful for us to live here anymore. I also want to understand, I have made so many mistakes, how could I go wrong again? As I am now, which man can truly fall in love with me? Regardless of whether Lu Zhenqiang is so insistent because his brother-in-law talked to him, at least he will not dare to do anything to me in this life. As for me, I will not be arrogant when I marry into his family. I have thought about it. From now on, I will live a good life with him. People's hearts are full of flesh. As time goes by, he will definitely treat me sincerely. His mother will be able to accept me when she sees that I live with him sincerely. I know that he forced his sister to come with him. I guess she still won't get along with me if I get married. That doesn't matter. When she gets married, I won't have to face her every day. As for whether she will accept me or not in the future, I can't control it, but I believe that a person really becomes a family. Some things can be understood clearly. Look at me, I didn't understand anything before. Now, I really understand everything. People, there is nothing that cannot be understood. It just depends on whether you are willing to think about it. Xia, I may not be able to help you with anything in this life, but I know that I can still live a good life because of you as my sister. I have done a lot of bad things in the past, and you don't care. Thanks. Chu Xia had a look of helplessness on her face. In the past, she would have done everything to help her, but now, she was really uncomfortable with being so polite all of a sudden. However, such changes are always good, and she didn't say any unnecessary polite words. He said directly, since you have decided. Then let's do it. When will Lu Zhenqiang pick you up? Zhao Qian smiled sheepishly, I haven't informed him yet. I want to wait until I finish talking to you before informing him. Then he quickly explained, I didn't mean to wait for you to come back to support me. I just felt that this was the case. I should let you know first, that's what it should be. Because I was afraid of being misunderstood by Chu Xia. Zhao Qian's explanation was somewhat incoherent. Chu Xia smiled and said, Sister, we've been getting along these days. I've seen all the changes in you and won't think too much about it. Let me see it this way. Don't call him to inform him. If he comes over tomorrow, ask him to take you back. If he doesn't come over, just wait and see, okay? Okay, I'll listen to you. Zhao Qian nodded. How could she not understand that her cousin was trying to gain face for her? In fact, she really thought so, but she didn't have the nerve to say it. The longer she stayed with Chu Xia, the more she regretted her past willfulness. She didn't know what jealousy she felt at that time. If she had gotten along well with her cousin earlier, how could she end up in this situation today? If she knew that her cousin's core had been changed, she would definitely not think so. After leaving Zhao Qian's room, Chu Xia went to find Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe. The couple learned about Zhao Qian's decision. Not only were they not surprised, they also breathed a sigh of relief. We won't live here after school starts. If they can still live here with peace of mind, it only means that all their changes are superficial. In this way, it means that our help is worth it, Zhao Yulan said. Lin Baohe also quickly agreed, yes, Xia, your mother and I have been worried about this for a long time. If they are really pretending, then helping them will really bring trouble to themselves. Dad, Mother. Chu Xia looked at the couple with a smile, you are not as good a person as I thought. It's not the case, the couple said in unison, looked at each other, and laughed sheepishly. In fact, they felt a little ashamed for thinking this way. Chu Xia hugged her father and mother's neck and said, I'm finally relieved. Even if I'm not with you, I don't have to worry about you being cheated. Who would lie to us? The couple said in unison. In the future, we will be dating more and more people, and it is inevitable that there will be those who can pretend to be unkind. Chu Xia waved her hands with a smile, I won't say any more, just think that I was just worrying about things in vain. Mom and Dad, you should rest early. Yes, I'm going to sleep too. Opening the door, I saw Zhou Mikang sitting on the bedside reading a book. Chu Xia leaned over with a flattering smile, where are you reading? The corners of the group leader's mouth twitched, and he raised his eyes to look at her with an unhappy look on his face. You don't need to be so careful when making requests from me, just say it directly. Can you please tell my parents-in-law and others tomorrow morning that my second uncle's family will be moving out in the next 2 days? Chu Xia hugged his arm awkwardly. Originally I wanted to say it myself, but I still feel it's better for you to say it, isn't it? Why is it so sudden? Zhou Mikang frowned, didn't you say you would stay for a month before leaving? Is there someone with a bad attitude that made their stay uncomfortable? No, Zhao Qian has decided to move to the Lu family. Anyway, he has decided not to break up. It would be pointless to delay it any longer. Besides, when I start school, they will live here with a name that is not justified. How can we feel comfortable together? Zhou Mikang nodded. Lu Zhenqiang should be allowed to take good care of her. Okay, I will tell the elders tomorrow morning that in fact, you are worried too much. Even if you say it, they will not misunderstand her. I know, but it's better if you say it. Facts have proved that Chu Xia's worries were justified. Early the next morning, when Zhou Mikang came back from running and told Mrs. Zhou about this matter, the old lady immediately frowned. Someone has a bad attitude and can't live in the house anymore already. No, Zhou Mikang laughed. Chu Xia was worried that you might think so, so she asked me to tell you. It's Zhao Qian who really wants to go back to the Lu family and live a good life with Lu Zhenqiang. We are already planning to get married anyway, so spending more time at our house will not solve the problem. It would hurt the relationship between the two even more, so it would be better to get over it earlier. Is this really true? Mrs. Zhou still didn't believe it. It's not like grandma doesn't know what kind of character I am. Zhou Mikang shook his head in a funny way. Do you think I'm the type to lie to cover up the truth? Mrs. Zhou breathed a sigh of relief. That's good, but it shows that Qian's child is understanding. Originally, I had thought about this, but from my perspective, it's really hard to say anything, lest others let others know. The misunderstanding was that we didn't want people to live there, so that's why we said that. It's better now, people. It's never too late to understand. Grandma, you can talk to your grandparents later, and I'll go back to the room and take a shower. Go. The old lady waved her hand to him and warned, be gentle and don't startle Xia. She is feeling restless now. You can't affect his rest. I know. There was a black line on Zhou Mikang's head. He was not an ignorant child. How can we not understand this truth? Lu family. As soon as old Mrs. Lu put breakfast on the table, Lu Zhenqiang yawned and sat down at the table. Eat something and go to bed quickly, alas. Sighed. Mrs. Lu looked at her son with distressed eyes. How had her son suffered such a crime in these years? Covering his face with both hands and rubbing it, Lu Zhenqiang finally regained his energy. Mom, I'm going to Zhou's house after dinner. It's business to bring Qian back as soon as possible. Hey, Mrs. Lu sighed. She didn't say anything. She didn't understand why her son was so eager to find Zhao Qian. After knowing the reason, she felt helpless. A family of 3 has to live. If the son really loses his job, all the talk will be false. Mom, it's okay. I can hold on. It will be the same if I go to sleep when I get back in the afternoon. Lu Zhenfen, who came out of the house with her shoes on, answered dissatisfiedly, brother, if she really cares about you, she can't be so angry even though she knows you work the night shift. These days, you said you didn't report on any day? Can't she tell you whether she wants to be with you or not? Let me tell you, she is just relying on the Zhou family's power to show off her power. Brother, if you continue to spoil her like this, when she gets married, you still have to carry her shoes every day? Also, if you spoil her, how will your mother live? I'm fine. It's just her way of tossing you. Your brother can't bear it even if he's made of iron. Mrs. Lu said and sighed heavily, this is too bullying, how can you force it? I'm looking for a wife. Mom, don't worry. When she gets married, I will slowly train her. If she lives a good life, we will also treat her well. If she comes and is still the same as before, I will leave her even if I don't want to work anymore. Lu Zhenqiang's eyes were a little red as he said, my mother didn't bring us up so much just so that I could get a wife and be bullied. Son, as long as you say this, mother will be satisfied. Old Mrs. Lu gave her son a fried dough stick, eat more, leave early, and come back early. From now on, you can do whatever you want, mother won't tell you is you. Tch, Lu Zhenfen curled her lips disdainfully, she is like that. If no one supports her, I don't think any beggar will marry her home. She is really a blessing to marry into our family. Brother, you can't do anything to spoil her just because the Zhou family supports her. Remember what you just said, even if I get married, if I know that my mother has been bullied by her, I will definitely come back and beat her up. When the time comes, brother, don't think I'm ignorant. No matter what happens, it's not your turn to beat her up. Lu Zhenqiang frowned and stared at his sister. Xiaofen, I'm happy that you're protecting your mother, but since I'm here to take care of her, it's not your turn to take the lead. Do you understand? Brother, Lu Zhenfen was so angry that tears welled up in her eyes. You haven't brought her back yet, and your heart has obviously turned to her side. Will I still be able to live my life from now on? Xiaofen. Lu Zhenqiang put down his chopsticks. When this happened, I was quite angry with Zhao Qian. I felt that it was her fault that we ended up in this situation. But after thinking about it calmly these days, I can only say that I probably can't hope for a big future in my life. It was Zhao Qian who I fell in love with first, and I agreed to let her be the daughter-in-law of the Lu family. At that time, our family was poor and lived in a small house in the suburbs. No one wanted to marry me. And I didn't expect that I would fall in Shang Feng's eyes and have a smooth career. To be honest, I really took a fancy to Zhao Qian at that time, even though she was short and a little fat. But she is old and fair, and your brother and I are not outstanding in terms of stature and appearance. I feel quite contented to be able to find her. In terms of age, I am nearly 10 years older than others. If someone had told me at that time that Jin Lan would agree to be with me one day, I would never have believed it. Actually, when I was really with Zhao Qian, I already knew that my career was turning around, but I didn't think about abandoning her at the time. Later, sighing, Lu Zhenqiang continued, then it was because of Zhong Hongying's initiative that my mind suddenly became confused. Zhong Hongying and I were together, and she was the one who drugged the wine. I never told you this. But the fact is, if it weren't for her little actions, probably, I wouldn't be with her so quickly. Man. Sometimes it's easy to do this kind of fooling around, knowing clearly that Zhong Hongying is not attracted to me as a person by being with me, but because of our family conditions. If there were Gaoji, he would definitely kick me away. But I had to tell myself that she was with me. It's because of my charm. Actually speaking, my feelings for Zhao Qian are definitely deeper than my feelings for Zhong Hongying. But at the time, I didn't think about it. It wasn't until the relationship between Jin Lan and I took a turn for the better that I really realized that I had done something wrong. I tried every possible means to conceal my relationship with Zhong Hongying, but she is not as easy to deceive as Zhao Qian. In order to get rid of her, I adjusted her work. Even though I knew that many people were gossiping, I still fulfilled her request. If it weren't for this reason, he probably wouldn't have really abandoned me. Mom, Xiaofen, I'm just saying this to let you know. In fact, the person who should be most blamed for what happened today is myself, followed by Zhong Hongying, and Zhao Qian is the one who should be blamed most. Innocent, she has a bad character, but she has no evil intentions. If you really coax her, she will never cause any trouble. I don't know if I will always be a worker in this life, but if I marry Zhao Qian back home, there is at least hope of getting rid of my current life. Don't say that the Zhou family is bullying people. There is no need for them to do anything. As long as I am not with Zhao Qian, someone will definitely step on me. When the time comes, returning to the countryside to farm will probably be the only way out. As for Jin Lan, since she found out that I was being hummed, she has ignored me at all. She even came to me specifically a few days ago and told me that she had found a partner and asked me not to write to her or call her again. Mom, Xiaofen, all my roads are blocked. Do you really want me to hit my head and bleed out before you accept Zhao Qian? However, by that time, she probably won't accept me anymore. This was the first time Lu Zhenqiang mentioned these words to his family. Therefore, After he finished speaking, the room fell into a long silence. After a while, Mrs. Lu sighed, "Son, please bring Chi Yan back. Let's take good care of her, it's us who are sorry." "Mom." Lu Zhenfen still had a look of disapproval. "Even if what I said is true, even if she is not wrong, my mother can see how lazy she was when she lived here before. If she is really brought back as an ancestor this time, then she will probably have to be treated as an ancestor in the future. I have no problem with my brother bringing her back, but I definitely don't agree with my mother serving her. Then you will take care of me." "Why do you want me to take care of her?" Lu Zhenfen jumped up. "Even if it is a miscarriage, she has been raised for a few days. What can I take care of?" Lu Zhenqiang frowned and glared at her. "Lu Zhenfen, you are also a girl. One day you will get married and have children. I hope you will remember what you said today and think carefully about whether this is the right thing to do." "Wrong. Let me emphasize again that I was forced to pick her up at first. Now, I sincerely want to pick her back because I already know clearly who is the one who is willing to accompany me for the rest of my life. Do you know the reason why your brother and I were selected? Just because I know how much I weigh, I will never overestimate or underestimate myself. As for what happened today, it was because of my sudden luck that I lost my way. I didn't know how much I weighed, which is why I fell so miserably. After what happened this time, I will never make the same mistake again in my life. Today, I am going to take Zhao Qian back. Mom has already expressed her intention to treat her well. If you can't do that, stay away from her. I don't need you to take care of her, but I don't allow you to bully her either. Besides, think about it yourself, when you are finding fault with others. Have you ever thought about yourself? You used to be very diligent and sensible, but since I transferred to the county, you no longer know who you are. Well, it didn't matter if you didn't know who you were at that time, I could still protect you, but now, I am an ordinary citizen, and I may lose my job at any time. How can I protect you? If you are still ignorant and willful at this time, then let me tell you, your life will definitely not be what you want in the future. I'm telling you this because I'm your brother. If you want to listen, just listen. If you don't want to listen, just keep it. One day you will understand who is the person who truly cares for you." "Mom, I'm going to Joe's house. Please help me tidy up my room." "Go quickly," Mrs. Lu responded and gave her daughter a gentle push. "Xiaofen, go with your brother to pick up your sister-in-law." "I'm not going." Lu Zhenfen was furious now. If Zhao Qian was in front of her, she probably wanted to strangle him to death, so how could she really follow Lu Zhenqiang? He snorted coldly. Lu Zhenqiang turned around and left the room. Old Mrs. Lu looked at her daughter helplessly. "Xiaofen, don't be stubborn. Your brother is right. Our family is not as good as it was a few months ago. Take it easy. You are not young anymore. If you don't change your temper, this will happen. It will be difficult for my husband's family to find a suitable wife. I'm obviously doing this for his own good, but you still do this to me. You're so ignorant." Lu Zhenfen looked at old Mrs. Lu with a dissatisfied look on her face. "Mom, are you really going to listen to me? He's confused and you don't know what's good for him. Are you just being confused? If you really listen to him, I won't be able to stay in this family anymore. Xiaofen, your brother and I have spoiled you." Mrs. Lu looked at her daughter with a headache. "Your sister-in-law had a miscarriage. You were obviously there at the time, but you didn't protect her. Thinking about it now, does she feel guilty? Anyway, mother feels guilty. Even if mother was dissatisfied with her before, she still feels terribly ashamed about this matter. Although my mother didn't agree with your brother taking her back before, she has actually decided that if she does take her back, her mother will definitely make up for her mistakes. Your brother took all the responsibility on himself, but really speaking, don't we too have no responsibility? If we weren't so picky, could he arrange for Zhao Qian to live outside? If Zhao Qian was not arranged to live outside, how could he provoke Zhong Hongying? Xiaofen, you're not young anymore. Think about what your mother said. If you really can't figure it out, just stay away from your sister-in-law and live your own life, just like your brother said. I'll go find your sister-in-law Li later and ask her to help you find a suitable family. The sooner you get married, the sooner you can put your mother at ease. With your mother's body and strength, she might go to your father one day. I'm relieved about your brother, but with your temper, I'm really worried, and I really don't know how to deal with your father. Originally, Lu Jianfen was filled with anger when she heard that the old lady Lu said she wanted to marry him off. Before the daughter-in-law came in, she was thinking of pushing her daughter out. However, when she heard the old lady's worries, she was filled with anger. It turned into sadness, and the one who felt sorry for her the most was indeed her mother. "Mom, I listened to you." Lu Jianfen finally gave in. "I will try my best to get along well with her. If you really don't want to see her, just stay away. Don't worry. This is my good daughter." The old lady's rough hands caressed her daughter's face. "Your father left early, and it's not easy for your brother to support this family. But you can't hold grudges against your brother, you know." "I know." Lu Jianfen sniffed. "Mom, I'm not ignorant, I really know." Mrs. Lu here finally persuaded her daughter, and Lu Zhenqiang also arrived at Zhou's house. Without the earnest words he expected, Zhao Qian agreed to go home with him, which made him stunned for a long time with his mouth half open before he believed it was true. Everyone in the Zhou family knew about Zhao Qian's decision and agreed with her. Emotionally speaking, everyone hopes to find someone they like, but as for this sweetheart, some people can adjust themselves, and some people can't. In other words, what you think is good may not be the same to others. Going to you, considering Zhao Qian's conditions, although this is still a bit unsatisfactory, but weighing the two aspects, it seems that this is the only choice. To be continued. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 763. First release of high-speed text. Domain name of this website. For synchronous reading on your mobile phone, please visit. Noticing that Fang Jingzi's younger brother Fang Jingwen was not among the visitors, Lin Wenjie pulled Fang Jingzi aside and asked in a low voice, "Where is Jingwen?" After a moment of hesitation, Fang Jingzi decided to tell him the truth. "I didn't let him come. You also know what happened between him and Li Xinlan. I don't want Li Xinlan to use him as a springboard." Nodding, Lin Wenjie looked at her worriedly. "Just by doing this, Jingwen will hate you to death. What will you do if he really gets together with Li Xinlan?" "No, Li Xinlan will never marry him. She hasn't fallen out yet because she doesn't believe that I really don't care about him. After a while, when she finds out that the Fang family really can't benefit from me, she will naturally stop being with him. Jingwen comes and goes. Of course, if my prediction is wrong and she really marries Jingwen." After a pause, Fang Jingzi sighed. "If she really marries Jingwen, how we will get along with her will be discussed later." Lin Wenjie thought for a moment and didn't quite agree with her approach. "The hardest thing to do in this situation is probably our parents. Actually, I don't mind letting her take advantage of her. Think about it, the people around me are not fools either. I won't fall into her trap. The people around you are not fools, and she is not a fool either. If she had seen your family's situation and knew that I would not let her family suffer, she would have married Jingwen. If she sincerely treats Jingwen and is a filial child, even if she is a little utilitarian, I will tolerate it. However, she is not even filial to her own father, let alone others. If we really marry such a woman and go home, we will definitely be in trouble. If Jingwen is in her hands, our bottom line will be lowered again and again. Fang Jingzi couldn't help but shudder. That result, definitely not what I want. Lin Wenjie really didn't expect this. After hearing what Fang Jingzi said, he felt that his idea just now was a bad idea, but he didn't want to do it because of his own relationship. The relationship between Fang Jingzi and her brother broke down, and her brows furrowed tightly. Okay, don't worry, just let nature take its course. If I do this, the final result will still be unsatisfactory. I can only say that it is God's will. This is Jingwen's fate. But, after a pause, Fang Jingzi looked at Lin Wenjie seriously. If that day comes, I'm afraid we will have to support my parents. I hope you can talk to your family. Lin Wenjie smiled and said, originally, that was my plan. My family members all know that I have already said hello to them. Grandma, grandparents, parents, uncles, aunts, and aunts all have no objections. Don't worry. Lin Wenjie. Fang Jingzi bit her lip and didn't know what to say. After finding such a little husband, many people were waiting to see her jokes. In fact, she was also vaguely worried. Now it seemed that she still didn't understand the other party well enough and underestimated the other party, which made her feel very guilty. Are you touched? Lin Wenjie smiled proudly. Now you know that although I am younger than you, I think no less than you, right? Fang Jingzi nodded vigorously, yes. Now I can tell everyone for sure that I, Fang Jingzi, did not choose the wrong person. It's good to know. Lin Wenjie pulled her towards the younger generation. You will get married soon, so you should spend more time with your family so that you won't feel strange when you get married. Third brother. As soon as he saw the third sister-in-law, he pulled us away to whisper. He is about to get married to the third sister-in-law. Is it necessary to be so difficult to separate? The person who teased Lin Wenjie was Lin Wengziu. He was always with Lin Wenjie and was naturally very familiar with Fang Jingzi. Knowing that the other person has a good personality, there is no pressure to joke around. Are you jealous? Lin Wenjie looked at him with contempt. What do you want me to say about you? How long have you not seen Xiaomin? Why don't you go find her quickly? If you don't take advantage of such a good opportunity, do you really have to wait until that bastard Huang Xinjie gets there first before you regret it? Why does a man worry about not having a wife? Lin Wengziu rolled her eyes. I don't believe it. Without her, Xiaomin, I won't be able to find a wife. Moreover, if she is so easily seduced by Huang Xinjie, no. Marry or not, hey, Lin Wenjie, I'm telling the truth, and I'll tell you the same thing if you pinch me. Yeah. Hearing this voice, Lin Wengziu froze immediately. After a while, his head turned stiffly like a robot. He looked at the girl who was smiling and staring at him. He wanted to cry without tears. The feeling of being caught for saying bad things was really him. Damn, it's not good. Min, the fourth child is just an addict, don't take it seriously. Lin Wenjie explained while pointing at Chu Xia to change the subject. Min, this is my sister. You haven't seen her before. She looks good, right? Like my sister-in-law, right? By the way, that's my brother-in-law, the leader of the group. He's definitely young and promising. My eldest and second brothers are absolutely incompetent in front of him. She really couldn't bear to hear him use this method to resolve the embarrassment, so Chu Xia had to interrupt him. Third brother, your way of introduction means you don't want us to come in the future. Hello, my name is Xiaomin. Before Lin Wenjie could speak, Xiaomin stretched out his hand to Chu Xia. Hello, my name is Lin Chu Xia. Chu Xia stood up and stepped forward to hold her. Sister Xiaomin, please sit down and talk. Can I call you Chuxia? Xiaomin asked first. Certainly. In early summer, We met for the first time. Ordinarily, I shouldn't refuse your request. However, you also heard what some people said just now. People want face and trees want bark. If I stay, I will be in front of certain people in the future. How can you still have the face? Sighing, Xiaomin continued, I heard before that the Lin family found their long-lost relatives, and I also heard that you and my sister-in-law look very similar. I have always been curious. If it weren't for that bastard and my temper, I would have been there last time. I came to play with you. I estimate that you will be finished by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Look, do you think this is good? I will be waiting for you at the intersection on time at 4 o'clock. Can you come to my house to play? Hearing what she said, Chu Xia knew that she and Lin Wengziu could not break up. If she really didn't like Lin Wengziu, she would not invite herself to her home at all. To put it bluntly, it was the first time they met and she didn't know each other. Why do people invite her as a guest? Fourth brother, Chu Xia looked at Lin Wengziu, who was still in a daze. Why don't you quickly apologize to Sister Xiaomin? Could it be that you want to save your apology for making dumplings during the new year? Chu Xia's words were so funny that Fang Jing'ai couldn't help but burst into laughter. When everyone turned their attention to her, her face turned red and she lowered her head to reduce her presence. Fang Jingzi and Xiaomin had known each other for a long time, and she stood up now. Xiaomi and my sister doesn't mean any harm. Don't take it to heart. Today is the day Wenjia and I get engaged. Treat us as a favor. Stay. Okay. Sister Jingzi, I'm sorry, I didn't mean not to say hello to you, I was so angry just now. Xiaomin quickly apologized. I came here because today is the day when you and Wenjia are engaged, but if people don't let me stay, you say that You just said you came because you were curious about my sister, and now you say it again. You came because my third brother and third sister-in-law are engaged. Xiaomin, you think I don't speak well, so what about you? Lin Wengziu looked at it intently. Xiaomin, I know you are accusing me of not looking for you during this period, but have you ever thought about why I didn't look for you? I've told you a long time ago that I don't like your arbitrariness, usually in other matters, but when it comes to relationships and marriage, I can't accept it if you do the same. If you like me, stay with me, if you like Huang Xinjia, stay with Huang Xinjia, and keep in touch with me. You're dating Huang Xinjia again. What do you mean? Yes, what I just said was a bit extreme, but Xiaomin, I don't want to lie to you. That is indeed what I am saying. If our relationship for many years is no match for a third party who suddenly intervenes, then why do we need to be together? I am very happy that you can come today. Really, if you really only have me in your heart, then stay happily and attend the engagement banquet of my third brother and third sister-in-law. If you leave, I can also tell you clearly that we will never be together. You know what my character is. If I say so, you will definitely do it. The choice is yours. No matter what choice you make, I will not blame you. I also promise you that I will only marry one woman in my life and I will only be good to one woman. Any girl would find it very embarrassing to be said like this by her boyfriend in front of so many people and forced to express her position, and Xiaomin was certainly no exception. She looked at Lin Wenjia in disbelief, wondering how this man could be so unreasonable. Okay, he didn't go to her, she came, but what did he do to her? Is it just to prevent her from getting off the stage in front of everyone? What does it mean to be on both ends of the spectrum between him and Huang Xinjia? Does she have it? Now that he was talking about this, she really had to say it. All the forbearance and grievances poured out at this moment. Tears poured out uncontrollably, making her momentarily there was no sound at all. Chu Xia and Fang Jingzi looked at Lin Wengziu with speechless faces. Could they be any more stupid? Emotional intelligence is really low, Chu Xia sighed secretly, and then sighed. In this era, Most men's attitude towards their significant other is like this. Alas, fortunately, this is not what she encountered. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but feel more sympathy for Xiaomin, and Chuxia held her hand and whispered, "Sister Xiaomin, stop crying. He is just showing off as a man. Don't be as knowledgeable as him. In fact, we are all the same. Even if you are looking at him, you think he did something wrong. How about we go sit in the side hall for a while and ignore him, okay?" Lin Wenbin was also lecturing his cousin, Wengziu, "Are you out of your mind? If a girl comes to our house to find you, and she tries to please her with kind words, and her family is warm to her, you and I will several brothers even threatened you that if you dare to ignore others, they will sever the brotherhood. Can you really ignore them and drive them away and disown us?" Lin Venhang, who had not spoken much since returning home last night, answered, "Wengziu, to be fair, Xiaomin is really right. She has a home and a family, so she can't risk everything and ignore everything. With your bad temper, if she really does that, who will she go to if she quarrels with you in the future? Why don't people just ignore you? That's because you don't give people a sense of security, understand? Although I don't like your brother's excessive single-mindedness in relationships, but what he said makes sense. Do you think it would be great for you two brothers to be evenly matched?" Lin Wenbin sighed helplessly, "One of you can do anything just for your lover. No, it's really frustrating to ask your lover to do nothing for you." At this moment, Xiaomin's mood also calmed down, and she looked at Lin Wengziu intently. "We grew up together. You know, from the age of 13, I decided that I wanted to marry you when I grow up. Probably, you have no idea why I made this decision at the age of 13, right? Then I will tell you now in front of everyone. Just because a caterpillar fell on my head, everyone was laughing, but you were the only one who carefully took it off for me. My fear of mollusks is innate, so what is a trivial matter to you is a huge matter to me. At that time, I decided that you were the one who could protect me and not bully me, so I wanted to be with you for the rest of my life. Over the years that we have been together, I have been the one giving in to you and quarreling most of the time. It is always me who takes the initiative to find peace with you. Well, you are a man who cares about face, so I will take the initiative. But do you know how much I look forward to the time when you take the initiative to coax me? So, this time. Obviously Huang Xinjia and I have nothing, but you said that I was swinging this time, and I was really angry. We have known each other for so many years, don't you know my personality? Just because of a few words from my sister, is it really appropriate for you to completely reject me and think that I am a free-spirited girl? So, I controlled myself not to come to you. I just wanted to see when you would come to me. Unfortunately, I failed in the end. When I heard that my third brother was getting engaged today, I really couldn't sit still. Because I want to be a member of the Lin family, I think that on today's occasion, I can't pretend not to know even though I know it. I am coming." Unexpectedly, what I heard as soon as I walked in were your words. To be honest, when you were stunned, I felt a little happy in my heart. Although you said that about me, you still have me in your heart. It's understandable that men want to save face. In fact, as long as you apologize to me, even if you don't apologize in front of everyone and just apologize to me quietly, I won't care. Unfortunately, I am too naive. It turns out that I am so insignificant in your heart. It turns out that you don't trust and don't understand me. So, what do I mean by persisting? Probably, in your mind, no matter which girl you are with, it's the same, right? Smiling seductively, Xiaomin exhaled a long breath. That's good, I finally see the truth clearly. Lin Wengziu, goodbye. After saying that, she walked out without looking back. Chu Xia quickly pushed Lin Wengziu, who was still in a daze, and said, "Go quickly, why are you just standing there stupidly? I saw you were quite clear before, but why are you so confused at the critical moment? After a slight hesitation, Lin Wengzhou finally gave chase. Chu Xia breathed a sigh of relief. As long as Lin Wengzhou was willing to let go, this relationship would not be over yet. However, if Lin Wengzhou's emotional intelligence continued to be so low, she was really not optimistic about Xiao Min's future. You tell me, why don't you teach your brother a good lesson? Lin Wenbin frowned and looked at Lin Venhang. He is your biological brother. Brother? Lin Venhang smiled bitterly. Can this kind of thing be taught? This is how he and Xiao Min got along since childhood. Can he listen to me? When will Huang Sui come over? Lin Wenbin changed the topic. She's not coming. Huh? Lin Wenbin looked at Lin Venhang in confusion. Why can't you come to a day like this? Brother didn't want to see her, so I didn't let her come over. Lin Venhang sighed. Brother, you have to believe me, I really don't want my family for the sake of feelings. I have also said that if she really does something that is sorry for the Lin family, I don't need any of you to tell me. I will resolve this grudge with my own hands. I hope that I can have my family and my loved ones at the same time. If I can't do that, it's my fate. As it should be, I won't regret my decision. It's Wenji's happy day, don't say this. Lin Wenbin coughed again. I didn't say I didn't want to see her. If you are sure that we have wronged her, I won't let her come over. Stop. Besides, even if I don't want to see her, if you marry her in the future, will I still be able to celebrate the holidays and never come back? Lin Wenjie interrupted with a smile. Big brother and second brother, today Jingzi and I are the protagonists. All other things must be put aside. If you keep talking about this over there, I will fall out. Yes, it's the elder brother who is wrong. He will punish himself with a drink later. Lin Wenbin said while looking at Fang Jingzi, brother and sister, I'm sorry, the elders are like this, they forget the occasion when they talk, don't take it personally. Brother, this is not the first time we have met. Am I so petty? Besides, at my age, if I am still so ignorant, won't it be a problem? Fang Jingzi looked at Chu Xia with a smile. Otherwise let them chat. Can we change places? Okay. Chu Xia certainly had no objection to this. She also felt that sitting together like this would actually affect everyone's communication, to put it bluntly. There are really not many men in this era who know how to get along with young women. The elders were all chatting lively. Chu Xia went to the side hall with sister Fang Jingzi. When she entered the door, she saw several of Fang Jingzi's cousins sitting in the corner. They were all a little restrained, so she pulled up. Fang Jingzi stopped and said, Third sister-in-law, let the younger brothers and sisters come over. They won't feel comfortable sitting next to the elders. Fang Jingzi had actually noticed the restraint of her cousins and cousins for a long time. I also invited several people to sit with them, but they refused. From this point of view, the juniors of the Fang family are all well educated. I will never approach anyone without a wink, regardless of the occasion. At this moment, Chu Xia asked them to come and sit together. Of course, Fang Jingzi wanted to do it. She immediately nodded in agreement and pulled Chu Xia over to greet them. Because of this incident, Fang Jingzi became even more enthusiastic about Chu Xia. Later, Chu Xia couldn't stand her enthusiasm and took the initiative to explain. Third sister-in-law, my grandparents passed away when my father was very young. Therefore, my father was separated from his family when he was very young. Our family has just been reunited with our relatives. So, I am also a child who grew up in an ordinary family. If you don't even have such a wink, then you are really forgetting your roots. I hope my third sister-in-law will treat me how she wants to be treated, okay? Okay. Fang Jingzi smiled sheepishly. I'm obsessed with it. I'm being talked about every day, and I seem to be deeply affected. Third sister-in-law and third brother have a true relationship, no matter what others say. Chu Xia raised an eyebrow. When my husband and I were together, My father had not yet recognized the Lin family, and many people said that I had climbed a high tree. Then so what? Although I can't explain the facts one by one, I believe that justice will come to people's minds over time. Moreover, why do others say that? Isn't the main reason jealousy? If we really cared, we would have fallen into someone's trap. Yes. Yes. Yes, Fang Jing'ai nodded repeatedly. Chu Xia, you are absolutely right. I think so too. In fact, my sister is quite clear-sighted. She is occasionally obsessed with the authorities and worries about gains and losses. Can I ask you a favor? Chu Xia nodded. Okay, you tell me, as long as I can do it, I will definitely help. She had a good impression of Fang's sisters, so she naturally agreed happily. If after my sister marries into the Lin family, her performance is not good enough because of other people's comments, please give me a few nice words. To be honest, it is not easy for her to persist to this day. Of course there is no problem with this. My uncle and his family have very good personalities. Your worries should be unnecessary. However, you can rest assured. Chu Xia smiled at her and said, soon I will come to the capital to go to school. There are many opportunities to meet, so I will definitely be able to do what I promised you. Which school is it? Fang Jing'ai asked curiously. A medical university. Is it medical university eh? Fang Jing'ai repeated it unconsciously. Yes. That's such a coincidence. Fang Jing'ai said with a smile, we have a neighbor who was also admitted to medical university. Her name is Li Xinlai and she has a very good personality. I'll introduce you to her later, okay? Okay. Before he entered school, he found a classmate. Chu Xia was also very happy and nodded in agreement. School starts in a few days. Why don't you ask her to meet you this afternoon? Perhaps realizing that she was too enthusiastic, Fang Jing'ai explained, she is a very good girl. I just hope that you will have a good time after you enter school. I have a companion so that I can adapt to the new life faster. I have no utilitarian purpose, really. I know. Chu Xia looked at her funny. Do you often do good things and be misunderstood by others? You explained a lot of things before I said anything. The gap is too big, it's a conditioned reflex. Fang Jing'ai smiled sheepishly. I was talking about my sister just now. When it's my turn, it's the same. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 764. One update arrived. Xia, you have to tell the truth. Your mother and I are very worried and have no confidence. If you lie, we will have no confidence even more for fear that his daughter would lie. Lin Bao he followed his wife's words again. Emphasized again. Dad, Mom, they just need to be away for a long time, so don't worry, it'll be fine, Chu Xia said while picking up food for the two of them, without deliberately lowering her voice. Bao he, Yulan. Zhou Jingping raised the wine to Lin Bao he and Zhao Yulan. You care about Xiaomi as your son, I thank you. It should be. Lin Bao he excitedly picked up the wine glass and drank it down in one gulp. Zhao Yulan held the wine glass in her hand, looked at her husband, and then at Zhou Jingping, with a confused look on her face. Chu Xia was also defeated by her father. Although they were married, when facing Zhou Jingping, a high official, her father is still so nervous about kissing her. Zhou Jingping quickly drank the wine in Lin Baohe's glass and smoothed things over with a smile. My in-laws are really refreshing people. Lin Baohe drank and laughed along with Zhou Jingping's words before he suddenly realized what a ridiculous mistake he had made. His face instantly turned red. If he had the heart to pour a glass of wine and toast him, he should go back. He was afraid that people would say he was a drunkard and was disrespectful. What is that thing that I just did? In-laws. Zhou Jingping came to him with a wine glass and put his big hands on his shoulders. I really like your character. You are straightforward and cheerful, without any messy twists and turns, and you are not tired when you get along. You later. Can you just treat me as a relative and an older brother? I'm a few years older than you, so I have the audacity to take advantage of you. Okay. This. Lin Baohe's face was filled with nervousness, excitement, all kinds of emotions were mixed back and forth, and his lips were trembling, and he didn't know what to say. Lin Yangqiu teased Chu Xia, asked her to change seats with him, sat next to Zhao Yulan, and held her hand affectionately. Sister, let these two brothers go make trouble while we chat. Hey, hey, Zhao Yulan responded repeatedly, with the same expression as Lin Baohe. Sister. We are a family, a real family. You are just a girl like Chu Xia. You will definitely live with the young couple in the future. As for us, we want to live with several children when we grow old. Then we will definitely live together when we grow old. We want to live together, you say. Are these relatives closer than brothers and sisters? Right. Right. Besides this repeated and emphatic answer, Zhao Yulan could not find any other words. Brothers and sisters will be separated after getting married, but we can live together in old age. What a fate, Lin Yangqiu continued, so the way we get along must be changed, right? Yes, yes, Zhao Yulan, who was in a confused state, reflexively reiterated. So. From now on, you two will treat the Zhou family as your own home and get along with us. Just like you get along with your brothers and sisters. Treat the younger generation in the family just like you treat your other children and nephews. In this way, the children can feel at ease. You work hard and don't worry about us, right? Yep. Chu Xia stroked her forehead helplessly. Her mother-in-law had completely followed her mother-in-law's ideas. Maybe she didn't know what she had answered now, but she must have felt in her heart that her mother-in-law was right. As for his father, after being reconciled by Zhou Jingping, he has become a brother-in-law with him. Of course, the factor of alcohol stimulation cannot be ruled out, or he may wait until tomorrow to completely return to the starting point. Xia. Mrs. Zhou, who had been smiling and watching several people communicate with each other, gently touched Chu Xia's hand and lowered her voice, those of your friends are not comfortable. Sit over and accompany them. Chu Xia's eyes quickly turned to a few outsiders. Fortunately, Zhou Hanliang and Jun Daodu were familiar with the younger generation of the Zhou family. At this time, they were whispering something to Zhou Huikang. Luo Xiaoqing and Zhao Qiliang were sitting there stiffly, motionless like two wooden figures. Second Aunt Liang Xiaohong talked to them, and they shook their heads and nodded like robots. This was the first time for the two of them to come to Josei. They were nervous, but that was normal. Chu Xia quickly sat over and changed places with their second Aunt Liang Xiaohong. Chu Xia. After being poked by Chu Xia, Luo Xiaoqing immediately relaxed, I will never come here again. I am so nervous. They are all big shots. I want to relax, but I can't relax at all. Yes, Xia, I really won't come here anymore. I feel cramps in my legs and stomach when I see the commander. Zhao Qiliang looked at Lin Baohe with Zhou Jingping's arms and legs for a drink with admiration. My uncle is so awesome, I just realized it now, my little uncle is a real person who doesn't show his face. Sitting here today, there are only elders and juniors, no commanders or soldiers. Please relax. Chu Xia glared at the two of them and served them some food. The Zhou family hasn't arrived yet. It's a little late. And Hui, Mr. Su's family, Zhou Zhonkong and his wife, and even Zhou Nanping may come back, what will you do? Ah, Luo Xiaoqing immediately panicked, Chu Xia, I regret it. Why did I agree to come back with you at that time? Otherwise, why don't we leave now, okay? Xia, let's go to Wan Lao's side, okay, Zhao Qiliang also said, I don't know what to say here. It would be too embarrassing for you to be nervous. When you get married in the future, I will definitely be the one who comes and goes frequently here. Sooner or later, you have to adapt. It's better to adapt earlier, right? It was Grandma who noticed something was wrong with you just now and asked me to come over to accompany you. After getting along for a long time, you will find that the Joe family is very easy to get along with. He lowered his voice and said, of course, there are some people who are difficult to get along with, but they basically don't come back very often. When she said this, Luo Xiaoxian became less nervous and whispered, are you talking about the one who married eunuch Xiao? You can't be so arrogant. Chu Xia pinched her lightly, just eunuch, why do you need to add a small word? Luo Xiaoxian. Who is talking rudely? She was clearly talking about Xiao, but she didn't believe that she didn't hear it. She was still young, didn't he just kick his penis to pieces? The Joker was wrong. Zhao Qiliang could vaguely hear what the two of them were muttering. At this moment, his face turned green. How could these two talk about this topic in public? No, he wanted to teach them a lesson later. Girls shouldn't be like this. But then he realized that his sister was married and he couldn't teach them about this kind of thing. As for his fiancée, he seemed embarrassed to be with her. Speaking of this, what should I do? He felt that he was not well. At nearly 8 o'clock, Aunt Zhou and Mr. Su came with their son and daughter, Su Yan and Su Shuxian. They explained that they should have come earlier, but it happened to be Mrs. Su's birthday, so they came to wish the old lady a happy birthday. However, from the way Su Shuxian curled her lips, it can be basically judged that this may be just one factor, and there should be other reasons. Zhou Zhonkong, Mei Xiaofeng, and Aunt Zhou were behind the family. This time they behaved quite well. They greeted the elders politely, then sat aside and just ate in silence. Luo Xiaoxian quietly asked Chu Xia, do they have any objections to you? I noticed that there is something wrong with the way your sister-in-law looks at you. Moreover, she seems to be getting close to your sister-in-law on purpose. Is it because she wants to win over you, sister-in-law? Are you isolated? You're thinking too much about eating. Chu Xia put a chopstick of vegetables into her bowl. Don't worry about things you shouldn't worry about. He turned to look at Zhao Qiliang. Brother, have you written a letter to your uncle and aunt? Written, it means telling the mission. It should be almost received by now. I guess they can definitely ask my sister-in-law and uncle. As long as my sister-in-law and uncle are steadfast, they will definitely be steadfast. On my parents' side, I will try my best not to let them know the truth, Chu Xia said. However, this matter cannot be hidden for too long. Something is happening on the other side of the border. Some news, even in an era without television and the internet, spread very quickly. I just hope that when the time comes, everyone will be strong. It was time to leave the next day, and the couple was newlyweds, so dinner was over at 8:30. Luo Xiaoxian and Zhao Qiliang followed Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe to Wan's home, while Zhou Hanliang and Jun Daodu were arranged to stay at Zhou's house. Zhou Mikang accompanied Chu Xia to send Wan Lao and his party back. After sitting there for more than 10 minutes, he was driven back by Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe. Lin Baohe had a great time drinking at night and was still in high spirits. He pushed his daughter and son-in-law to the door. Without waiting for the two to say goodbye, he closed the door with a bang. Chu Xia, who almost touched her nose, looked at Zhou Mikang helplessly. Now I seriously doubt that sooner or later my father will be completely bribed by you. That means I'm a nice person. It's useless for you to be jealous. Zhou Mikang put his arm around her shoulders and said, let's go. You should understand why our parents are so anxious to drive us home, right? What do you understand? Chu Xia stared at him with big eyes. What dirty thoughts are you thinking in your mind? It's so disgusting. How do you know what I think? Could it be that you are a bug in my belly? Otherwise, you think the same thing as me. Can you be a little thicker-skinned? Chu Xia stared at him speechlessly. I'm too lazy to talk to you. Zhou Mikang laughed and teased her. Why are you leaving in such a hurry? Oh, I understand, a moment is worth 1,000 pieces of gold. My little wife is in a hurry, haha. Shameless, Chu Xia stomped on someone's big foot angrily, and crushed her twice. You deserve a beating. That's how you stepped on me when we first met. Zhou Mikang's face showed an expression of enjoyment. Are you asking me to relieve the feeling of our first meeting? Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 765. One update arrived. Take these medicines back and remember to apply them twice a day. ZenMaleLead handed 2 tubes of ointment for promoting blood circulation and removing blood stasis to Chu Xia. Remember from now on, the way to solve problems is not just hands-on. Yes, Chu Xia would not refute the kind reminder. Lin Chuxia. After a pause, ZenMaleLead waved her hand. Go back and rest early. Don't fail the exam tomorrow. She was talking about the rules and regulations test, which is the first test for recruits. Yes, Chu Xia responded and walked out. She was puzzled. She always felt that ZenMaleLead paid special attention to her. From the last selection to this medicine donation. Chu Xia. When they were about to arrive at the girls' dormitory area, Luo Xiaoxian came over with a worried look on her face. Did Captain Zhang scold you? No. Chu Xia shook her head, feeling warm in her heart. Have you been waiting here? Yeah. Luo Xiaoxian curled her lips. If I wasn't afraid of being discovered by Captain Zhang, why would I have traveled so far to wait? There must be a spy in our dormitory, otherwise, how could Captain Zhang find out about the fight so quickly? Chu Xia, let's be careful what we say in the future. Okay, I know. But Chu Xia, you really impressed me today. I always thought that although you had a bad temper in the past, you only dared to be mean to your family members. Later, you were not mean to your family members anymore, but you were more like sheep. Every time your aunt and your sister-in-law bully you, they act so cowardly. Today, it finally surprised me. Early summer. That's it from now on. A good person will be bullied by others, and a good horse will be ridden by others. The more you endure and give in, the more some people will bully you. If you really get tough, they will be afraid. It doesn't matter if you can't beat him, don't you still have me? No matter who you fight with in the future, it will be counted as mine. Today, the main reason is that you didn't react, otherwise. Sun Shangmei is definitely a pig-headed person. Let me tell you, I regret it. I made a note of this. Okay. Listening to someone talking more and more enthusiastically, Chu Xia quickly interrupted her. Captain Zhang has already warned me that fighting is not the only way to solve the problem. If it hadn't been for the first day of reporting today, I would have been detained by now. I'd better try to avoid doing this kind of thing as much as possible in the future. It would be too embarrassing if it was really driven back, wouldn't it? Then let them bully you, Luo Xiaoxian frowned. A look of reluctance. The rules and regulations are not just for us. From now on, Sun Shangmei will not dare to do this. Of course, if she really wants to sit on our necks and shit, we can't let it go, right? Luo Xiaoxian nodded. That's pretty much it. Anyway, I will advance and retreat with you. Will you advance and retreat with me? Chu Xia shook her head with a smile. If you really advance and retreat with me, you will be farther and farther away from the position of squad leader. As far as it goes, I can't throw away your good friend just to compete for the position of monitor, but you don't have to be so unsure. Although your body is a little weak, you are good in cultural classes. If you are willing to work hard, let alone me, you can fight for the position of monitor. Spare me. Chu Xia smiled bitterly and shook her head. Can you imagine, I took everyone out for exercise, and then stayed behind half dead from exhaustion. Haha. Luo Xiaoxian rubbed her head and laughed. Yeah, it's really hard for you, so just work harder and don't hold me back. I'll fight for the position of squad leader. How about that? Chu Xia nodded, okay, I'll work harder and try not to hold you back. The inconsistency and the inconsistencies in saying you can't abandon this good friend of mine for the position of squad leader are actually just making excuses. If you can't choose, you say it's for me, but if you choose, I'm still not sure how happy I am. Chu Xia, you are so smart, how do you know I am using you as a shield? Luo Xiaoxian giggled, human beings, you have to find some excuse for yourself, right? It's a disservice to your friends. I am basically a good friend, how can I be a bad friend? Can a good friend use friends as stepping stones? Sacrificing yourself for me once in a while doesn't mean that I've always been so good to you, right? The bickering between the two not only did not make Chu Xia angry, but instead made her feel warm in her heart. This deity is really lucky. I think she didn't have such a friend who thought about her in her own time. He was obviously worried that she would have a psychological burden, so he deliberately said such words to comfort her. Thinking about it this way, although Fat Ant and Luo Gangshan were a little selfish back then, they were quite interesting to Lin Baohe and his wife later. In fact, if you think about it carefully, even if Luo Gangshan took the responsibility on himself, it would not change the fact that Lin Baohe put food in his pocket. The final result could only be that both of them were punished. Then, in the next few years, Luo Gangshan and his wife would not be able to help Lin Baohe. In this way, Chu Xia's grudge against the Fat Ant has really disappeared. The two walked into the dormitory, and everyone's eyes were turned towards them. Qiao Ning smiled at the two of them, the water room will be closed soon, you two go and wash up quickly. Thank you. They thanked each other, took out the basin from under the bed, and went to the bathroom. Lin Chuxia, are you okay? Lu Meijun followed. It's okay. Chu Xia shook her head and smiled lightly at her, thank you for your concern. No, 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 Lu Meijun smiled and waved her hands, we are comrades in arms, and we should care about each other. Did they say anything? Luo Xiaoxian asked curiously. After coming back, Sun Shangmei kept a sullen face and said nothing, while squad leader Qiao did whatever she was supposed to do. Lu Meijun sighed, I have friends in other classes, and they are all very united. By the way, I heard from my friend that our class is absolutely crouching tiger, hidden dragon. From now on, the news about absolute will not stop these days. What's the crouching tiger, hidden dragon method? Luo Xiaoxian asked curiously. Yang Xiaoli's father is the mayor of City A. Her grandfather has just retired from the position of provincial governor. There are two uncles in the family with high official positions. It turns out that Ming Meng's father is the director of the Agricultural Machinery Bureau. Otherwise, why would she be so flattering to Yang Xiaoli? Qi Jihong's father is also a subordinate of Yang Xiaoli's father, and seems to be the director of the Education Bureau. Do you think these people are willing to obey squad leader Qiao's command? I think what happened tonight was probably the news they went to report. In the following days, squad leader Qiao will feel sad. Yang Xiaoli is well known in the circle for her domineering nature. How can she honestly be squad leader Qiao's deputy? How do you know so clearly? Chu Xia asked doubtfully after spitting out the mouthwash. The father of a comrade in my friend's class is the municipal party committee secretary of City A. He is obviously the top leader, but Yang Xiaoli's father is so suppressed that he cannot hold his head up. She was also angry, so she reported on it on the first day and told her everything about Yang Xiaoli clearly. I went to find my friend, who just listened to the general idea and asked a few more questions, he. Lu Meijun was a little embarrassed about her gossip. The fight between gods has nothing to do with us mortals. Chu Xia spread her hands and said, Monitor Qiao is definitely not a simple person. If you don't believe me, just watch. Luo Xiaoxian nodded, I can see it. From the way she behaves, she is definitely not a child from an ordinary farmer's family. I even think that she got in the car midway just to hide her identity. In this case, it will be even more chaotic. Lu Meijun shook her head helplessly. I just want to be a simple female medical soldier, how come I am assigned to such a class? Didn't I say it in early summer? The fight between gods has nothing to do with mortals. We just need to train well. By the way. Luo Xiaoxian put her hand on Lu Meijun's shoulder, why are you so nice to us? I have to find a companion, right? Yang Xiaoli's gang doesn't seem to get along with me at first glance. Squad leader Chiao seems to be easy to talk to, but he is indifferent to everyone. Sun Shangmei's desire for power is too great. Well, such people don't need friends. Lin Mengran and Chu Xiaojing have an excellent relationship, and they don't seem to like others getting involved between them. The relationship between you two is no worse than the relationship between Lin Mengran and Chu Xiaojing, but the way you get along is unlike them. I believe that as long as I am kind, you don't mind having one more friend, right? Chu Xia gave her a thumbs up. It would be a shame if you don't go to a psychiatrist. I have really studied psychology. Let me tell you, my grandfather is a psychiatrist, but... Lu Xiaojun's expression dimmed, and then he changed the topic. Let's go back and ask the administrator to come over and chase us. It's not good. A night of silence. At 5 o'clock in the morning, the wake-up call sounded. The recruit classes were in a hectic state. Although they got up not too late at home, when did they get up at 5 o'clock? Chu Xia, who had never gotten up before 7 o'clock, covered her head with the quilt and squinted again. Luo Xiaoxian, who was hurriedly putting on clothes, saw that the quilt on the bed was bulging and motionless. She bent over and patted the bulging. Get up, Chu Xia, get up quickly. It's morning exercises, we can't come here. Yesterday the captain was not as I said, get up quickly. The belt was not tied yet, and the pants were a little loose. Luo Xiaoxian was shaking her body to take pictures of Chu Xia, and her pants suddenly fell to her heels, exposing her white thighs. Chu Xia sat up in a daze and woke up immediately when she saw Luo Xiaoxian hurriedly picking up her pants. She wanted to laugh but was afraid that Luo Xiaoxian would be angry, so she could only hold back and put on her clothes. The more anxious she became, the more mistakes she made. She accidentally put her clothes on backwards, so she quickly took them off and put them on again. Chu Xia, hurry up! Lu Meijun shouted and ran out, leaving only Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian in the room. You go out first, I'll be there soon. Hurry up and stop being wordy, Luo Xiaoxian said as she hurriedly helped Chu Xia organize her clothes. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 766. Please remember the website address of this website. Please recommend promotion introduction to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. An update. Remember in 1 second popular novels are updated the fastest. The car stopped at the hospital building. Zhou Hanliang looked back and glanced at Luo Xiaoxian, who was staring at the roof of the car in a daze, and said, "You wait in the car, I will get water." Luo Xiaoxian quickly sat up straight. "You know where to get a thermos bottle, right? Jingzhe is on duty tonight. Let's go get a few from him. Then you go get water, and I'll go to the equipment room." Luo Xiaoxian opened the door and got out of the car. "What are you doing in the equipment room?" Zhou Hanliang asked with a puzzled look on his face. "Please put some ice on your eyes. Mei Jun's mother brought her friends over. If we drink and cry, we don't know what to think of us." Zhou Hanliang had black lines on his head. It turned out that he also knew that it was not good to cry like this. He handed the car key to the other party. "Get some ice cubes and apply them in the car." Luo Xiaoxiang's face was immediately filled with smiles. What a careful and good man. If Daodu and you have a conflict and break up one day, I will definitely put in a good word for you. Zhou Hanliang. From the front, I was praising him, but from the back, I was basically cursing him. Is there such a person? The other party's face was speechless. Luo Xiaoxiang immediately realized that her words were not appropriate and quickly made up for it. Well, I want to express my gratitude to you. How about I change my approach? From now on, I will only be yours in front of Daodu. Good words, never a word no from you. Okay, don't you want me to promise you to sit in the car for a while before going back? I'll come back in a quarter of an hour. It won't be appropriate for a long time, and the guests still need to drink water. What he is usually best at is ideological work. How could Zhou Hanliang not understand what Luo Xiaoxiang meant when she fired sugar-coated bullets at him? Luo Xiaoxiang nodded repeatedly. Enough, enough, a quarter of an hour is enough. Director Zhou, you are really a qualified leader. After the words fell, the person had already fled far away. Why are you here? Zhou Hanliang opened the door and came in. Jing Zhe stood up with a worried look on his face. Did something happen? It's okay, it's okay. I came here to borrow 2 pots. Zhou Hanliang sat across from him and couldn't help but sigh and tell him what happened that night. Scared me. I thought someone was sick. Jing Zhe sat back down with relief. They have a good relationship, so it's normal for them to drink more when they say goodbye. By the way, you didn't drink in early summer, right? Probably not. After thinking about it, Zhou Hanliang was a little unsure. I don't understand either. Anyway, the teacher's face was not very good when he took her out. I'll call and ask if she really drank it. Let Zhou Mikang make some honey milk for her. Jing Zhe picked up the phone and dialed. After getting through, he asked a few questions and hung up the phone with a smile. Fortunately, it's quite clear. She didn't drink and was already asleep. After hesitating, Zhou Hanliang looked at him seriously. Jing Zhe, it's not appropriate for me to ask this question, but for the sake of your relationship with the boss, I still want to ask. Jing Zhe looked at him calmly. Ask. Do you like my sister-in-law? I like it. Jing Zhe still looked calm. Isn't this appropriate? What's inappropriate? Jing Zhe had a faint smile on his face. He said, she is my god sister. Isn't it right to care about her and like her? Jing Zhe, you know I didn't mean it this way. Zhou Hanliang glared at him dissatisfied. I like you that way. Don't pretend to be stupid with me. Don't deny it either. That kind of like. He muttered, and after a long silence, Jing Zhe said to him seriously, you're right, I kind of like her. But I do regard her as my sister now, and she can only be my sister in the future. I know you are trying to defend Zhou Mikang, but don't worry, I am not that kind of person. I'm about to get married, you know this. If you're worried, I'll find Meili tomorrow and I'll make my promise to you in front of her, okay? You misunderstood what I meant. Johan glared at him and sighed helplessly. I'm not complaining for the boss, I also know that you are not that kind of person. I'm just worried about you because of your current situation. When one day you can see her calmly and don't care about others, then you will really regard her as your sister. Did I make it obvious? Jing Zhe touched his nose uncomfortably. Since Lin Wenbin came here, I have tried to interfere as little as possible with their affairs. So you have something wrong with you? Zhou Hanliang shrugged at him. If you don't have something wrong with you, why do you want to avoid it? Sometimes you have to wait for Lin Wenbin to do something that is more convenient than Lin Wenbin. Don't you think there's a problem with this? Jing Zhe sighed. It's not easy to like someone, and it's not easy to completely change your feelings. I'm already working hard on it. Please stop finding fault, okay? I'm not trying to find fault. I'm doing this for your own good. Whether it's for yourself or for Zheng Meili, You should face it positively instead of escaping. I didn't escape. Jing Zhe was a little confused by Zhou Hanliang. According to your point of view, no matter what happens in early summer, I should rush forward immediately, right? But how is that possible? Her husband is here, her husband's family is here, and her mother's family is here too. It's obvious that the people closest to her can solve the problem, so I rushed forward to find a solution, right? Don't get me wrong, I'm not afraid of getting whipped, I'm afraid that what I'm doing will cause everyone to gossip about her, and that's really a bad thing done with good intentions. You are still engaged in ideological work, how come you can't even figure out such a little thing? If you do it according to your method, I will really sever ties with the Zhou family in the future. Are you in a hurry? Zhou Hanliang looked at him with a leisurely look. It means you still have something going on in your heart. You're a little too deliberate, but I don't want you to rush forward immediately for everything. Zhou Hanliang, you are sincerely looking for trouble tonight, right? Jing Zhe was really a little angry. Hearing what the other party meant, it would not be the end of the world if he didn't admit that there was something wrong in his heart. I really don't mean to make trouble, I just have nothing to do for the time being and need to sit here with you for a while, so I can just say what I have been holding in my stomach. If you think about it carefully, have you never been to the Zhou family at all after the Chinese New Year? One day, the Zhou family had guests and invited your parents and grandparents to have dinner together, but you didn't go. Yes, Meili and I had made an appointment that day. You can obviously go to Zhou's house with Zheng Meili. There is no problem for me and Meili to go to Zhou's house together, but in that case, my father-in-law and mother-in-law want to be at home by themselves. We agreed to go to her house for dinner. The elders have been busy for a long time, but we suddenly stopped going. Isn't it appropriate? Sorry, I was really overthinking that. Zhou Hanliang quickly apologized. I thought you were avoiding it on purpose, because I went there that day too, and I felt that your parents were always a little uncomfortable, so I wondered if it was because of you. Regarding the matter, they had some obstacles in going to Zhou's house. I'm sorry, it's me who's too busy. My parents are uncomfortable. Jing Zhe thought about it for a while and suddenly said, you really are overthinking it. They had some conflicts that day, and it's hard to show it in front of outsiders. Aren't they uncomfortable? Sorry, Zhou Hanliang felt really shameless now. It's okay. Jing Zhe smiled at him. You and Zhou Mixang have a deep relationship, so you will inevitably be a little hostile towards me, which I can completely understand. Moreover, your starting point is also for my own good. Also, you are a very qualified political commissar with particularly keen observation. Zhou Hanliang, I envy the brotherhood between you and Zhou Mixang, really. If you keep doing this, I almost want to crawl under the table. Zhou Hanliang smiled sheepishly. I am indeed being mean-spirited, and I do want to find trouble with you. But don't worry, I won't make this kind of mistake again in the future. I must always remind myself not to let loyalty blind my eyes. Thank you for teaching me a valuable lesson today. Jing Zhe smiled. Okay, treat me to dinner later. Of course, no problem. After a slight hesitation, Zhou Hanliang smiled sheepishly. Then can you tell me that you really don't have any feelings for my sister-in-law anymore? Jing Zhe is holding him with a black thread. Is it over yet? No, this is just gossip. Zhou Hanliang quickly explained. I'm just curious. If you don't want to, forget it. Just think I was talking nonsense. I refuse to answer that question. Then I understand. Zhou Hanliang smiled like a chicken. However, I am relieved and believe that you will definitely handle this relationship very well, and I believe that our boss knows your thoughts very well. Do you believe it? Xin, that's basically an old goblin with 1,000 years of experience. Is there anything else he doesn't know about? Zhou Hanliang. Is his boss that powerful? Although he suspected that the boss was wrong, he really felt that Jing Zhe had some tricks up his sleeve. In fact, young Master Jing was really not exaggerating. Zhou Mikang hung up the phone and said to Chu Xia, who had not yet fallen asleep, "Jing Zhe called me. He was concerned about whether you had drank." In order to prevent him from worrying, I said, "You didn't drink." "I drank a little red wine, it's okay." Chu Xia was a little guilty about what she did tonight, and she explained again with a particularly good temper. "Remember, from now on, don't drink even a little bit." If Jing Zhe knew about it, would he really come here right now? Do you believe it? "I don't believe it." Chu Xia glanced at him, her tone full of contempt. "Zhou Mikang, why do I feel so jealous when I hear your words? The eldest brother is pretending to be Sister Meili in his heart right now. You are so mean-spirited. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 767. Second update arrived. Zhou Mikang glanced at his little wife with a smile. "You are such a little fool. In Jing Zhe's heart, you are my sister. Isn't it normal for you to come here in the middle of the night for your health? However, you know that he is the only one in Meili's heart. When you need help from someone in the future, try not to trouble him to avoid misunderstanding." Chu Xia stared at the extremely petty-minded division commander with a speechless face, thinking that people would be more generous after being promoted. It turns out that the bigger the official, the smaller the belly. Do you think she is a fool? He also used these words to warn her. He was too lazy to pay attention to such a petty man, so he rolled his eyes with contempt, and Chu Xia turned his back. Zhou Mikang is not impatient when his little wife gets angry. Regardless of whether his little wife likes to hear it or not, he still has to give her vaccinations from time to time. After all, her personality is different from that of women of this era. Just in case something happens, it would be bad if people misunderstood. Master Tongzi did not admit that he was making excuses for his pettiness. Besides, he did know Jing Zhe's thoughts very well, and doing this was for everyone's good. After all, Jing Zhe is marrying his cousin. It would be boring if his cousin and his wife had a rift in the future due to unnecessary suspicions. Women are all petty. Although my cousin can see clearly now and has no jealousy towards his little wife, love is selfish. After getting married, will my cousin be able to maintain such a calm mind? Not necessarily anymore. Isn't he an example himself? Whoever said in the past that he would be taboo about another man's liking for his wife would never be believed by him, but when the facts are in front of him, any kind of argument is useless. After sitting in Jing Zhe's office for about a quarter of an hour, Zhou Hanliang carried 2 bottles of water back to the car, only to find a dead pig lying in the car that had fallen asleep. The ice cubes had gone somewhere long ago. Logo Zioxian, Logo Zioxian, Logo Zioxian. Logo Zioxian, a loud call finally made her snore happily. Miss Logo got up, rubbed her eyes, and after a while she came back to her senses. It's been 15 minutes. Of course, Zhou Hanliang quickly started the car. Did you get in the car to apply it on your eyes or to catch up on your sleep? I just thought it would be easier to apply it while lying down, but unexpectedly I fell asleep. Logo Zioxian stretched her head forward and pointed it at the rear-view mirror as she spoke, and said with a worried look, "Political Commissar Zhou, help me take a look, are my eyes still swollen?" Zhou Hanliang took a look at it and said, "It's not bad." "What do you mean?" "Okay," Logo Zioxian stared at him dissatisfied. "Swelling or not? You're asleep, do you think it will be swollen? It's just that it's not red now. If I didn't see your eyes often, I would just think that you were born with swollen eye blisters. Just soak your eyes if they are swollen." There was no other way, so Logo Zioxian had no choice but to accept this statement. "I'm not going on a blind date anyway, so it doesn't matter." After all, it was a girls' dormitory. It was inconvenient for Zhou Hanliang to go in, so he handed the water to Josei. Tell them, I will wait outside. He had promised to send Lu Meijun's mother back, and he could not break his promise. After thinking for a while, Josei said, Political Commissar Joe, I think you should go in together. There is already a man inside anyway. Besides, aren't you worried about Daodu? After thinking about it, it was the same thing. If he didn't go in and there was only one man inside, it seemed inappropriate. Give me the water. You go in first. If the man is there, you don't have to say anything. If he's not there, you don't have to say anything, I won't go in. After Josei entered the room, she found that only Jun Daodu was left in the room, sitting on the edge of the bed in a daze. Seeing her come in, she sighed, Where have you been? My eyes were swollen, so I went to fetch water with Political Commissar Joe, Josei said as she rushed behind her. Commissioner Joe, come in, just Daodu. After saying that, he looked at Jun Daodu again. May, where is you? Hey, Jun Daodu sighed and glared at Joe Hanliang, who came in later. You guys have been fetching water for a long time. If you had come back earlier to help explain, things wouldn't have gotten out of hand. This would be great, beautiful. I don't know how you will be disciplined when you go home. What's going on? Josei hurriedly sat next to her and shook her. Can you stop showing off? The man who came with Meijun's mother is a colleague of Meijun's mother's factory. The man is the child of Meijun's mother's colleague's sister. He works in the machinery factory and is a technician. His name is Tongbao. Meijun's mother was very good with that colleague, and that colleague wanted Meijun to marry her sister's son. Tongbao's parents were both factory leaders, and he worked well, so Meijun's mother also thought it was a good fit. It was supposed to be a blind date the day after tomorrow, but suddenly someone introduced Tongbao to a partner. Meijun's mother's colleagues were afraid that Tongbao would be on a blind date with someone else, so they moved forward the date of the blind date. Meijun's mother also knew about it temporarily. When she called, we had already gone out to eat. We couldn't wait for anyone at home, so she led the two of us over. She thought Meijun didn't go back because he had to work overtime at night, so she told them this when she brought them here. As a result, we came back drunk. You guys dropped me off and left. Rumi-kun was here by himself. When he smelled the smell of alcohol, the boy became unhappy and asked his aunt in a low voice why he lied to him, saying that he was looking for someone who would live an honest life. My daughter-in-law is not someone who only loves to play without doing serious business. He didn't keep his voice down, and Meijun's mother was a little unhappy when she heard it. Unexpectedly, Meijun's mother's colleague didn't want to embarrass herself in front of her nephew, so she directly questioned Meijun's mother. Of course, Meijun's mother defended Meijun, saying that her daughter has always been honest, and tonight was a special occasion. Then Tongbao said that under special circumstances, girls cannot drink like this and be with men. I happened to be thirsty, so I got up and asked Meijun to pour me some water. I really didn't understand the situation at the time and thought it was one of us who was talking. However, the man snorted and said that he didn't like it and was willing to do it for others. The maid's girl. After Meijun poured some cold water in the pot for me to drink, I became more awake. When I saw strangers sitting in the room, I asked Meijun in a low voice who these were and where you were. Meijun whispered to me, and I quickly stood up and explained to them that Meijun and I are comrades in arms, colleagues, and good friends, and we don't treat her as a maid. As for the fact that I drank too much, it was because my good friend was leaving. Feeling terrible. Then, Meijun teased me and asked me not to explain. She told her mother that she didn't want to find a partner to marry now. Even if she wanted to find someone, she would find one by herself without any introduction from her family. Before her mother said anything, her mother's colleague was not happy. He snorted and said, "She is so full that she can't afford such leisure." She said that her nephew's conditions are so good. If it weren't for the sake of being a good colleague, son, she doesn't know how to introduce him. She also said that if she had known that Mei-jun would go out drinking with a bunch of men and women, she would have said nothing to help introduce them. Then, Mei-jun politely apologized to her, saying that she was sorry for making her worry, and that she was not targeting her. Just wanted to tell her mother what she thought. Later, the man also joined in and made a mess of accusations. Even though my mind was a little confused, I still understood the matter clearly. What I told you earlier was just sorted out by me after they went over and over again. Later, when people from the dormitory next to me heard the noise and ran over to watch the fun, Mei-jun took them away and asked me to wait for you here. Looking at the time, Jun Daodu said, they have been gone for 9 minutes. I understand, such a person is not worthy of Mei-jun at all. It's just a good idea to break up. However, Mei-jun's mother and that colleague will not get along well in the future. Luo Xiaoqiang said and sighed, if I had known, I would have come down right then, just let it be swollen if your eyes are swollen. Anyway, people can already smell what we did from the smell of alcohol, so what's the point of covering it up now? Hey, it would be great if there was someone who sells regret medicine in the world. Okay, don't think about it. That man is not suitable for Lu Mei-jun. If Lu Mei-jun's mother's colleagues have objections to Lu Mei-jun's mother because of this matter, then such a person is not worth making friends with. You just need to pay attention to Lu Mei-jun and see if her mother's work is affected. If so, help when it's time to help. If not, don't do anything. It's getting late, and I've gone back to the dormitory. You two should drink some hot water and rest early. You have to get up early to go to work tomorrow morning, so don't both look like pandas. No, I have to go home and make a call to explain to Kyokuo, otherwise she will stay up and wait for me. Jun Daodu said and stood up, you go with me to make a call first and then send me back. Okay, Zhou Hanliang was also annoyed now. He found that he was very good at handling matters in the group, but when it came to these things, he was always lacking. Just now at Jingzhe's place, his self-righteous analysis had humiliated his grandma's house. Here, he actually thought that people would believe him after just one explanation, but he was so naive. Early the next morning, Zhou Mikang came to the teacher's office and found Zhou Hanliang with big dark circles under his eyes, so he asked him, what did you do without sleep last night? After hesitating for a moment, Zhou Hanliang asked, Master, I hope to be by your side, but do you think that with my current ability, can I really do a good job as the division's political commissar? Huh, Zhou Mikang frowned and looked at him, what happened? Zhou Hanliang sighed, I just did some self-reflection and feel that my abilities are still somewhat lacking. Then what do you mean? Zhou Hanliang said with a bitter face, I'm just afraid of dragging you down, master. Zhou Mikang nodded, well, then I will apply to transfer you. Teacher, Han Liang suddenly panicked. That's not what he meant. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to the Novel Reading Network, readnovel.com, to vote for recommendations and monthly votes. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to m.readnovel.com to read.